What happened to these people? Su Xing asked as he looked at the several dozen monks in front of him whose expressions had sunk into deep terror. The expressions of these monks that seemed to have been captivated by some illusion were full of fear and a sort of indescribable ecstasy. Hua Shui snickered, slave use dazzling light mind image. These happiness Chan monks are currently getting happy together with horses and cows until they are dry and spent. Everyone blushed in shame. This honestly was too hardcore. Xinjie, how have you prepared to bring over those ancestral masters of the happiness together courtyard? Su Xing asked again. Wu Xinjie's plan was actually very simple. She let one of the Honey Ripple Temple monk bring the news, and naturally there would be pretext. At that time, the girls acted together. 4 heavenly stars who were top-notch martial generals plus Su Xing's immemorial spirit treasures, let alone a supervoid early-stage cultivator, even Emperor Liang would be gone forever. However, the progression of matters was far from as smooth as Wu Xinjie had planned for. In 3 days, the happiness together courtyard not making even the slightest movement made Wu Xinjie immensely puzzled. Could it be that supervoid stage monk was so meticulous? Would he think that 4 heavenly star martial generals had designs on him? Only after Shi Yuan returned from Miluo Celestial with most urgent haste did they learn that a change beyond expectations occurred within the Central Celestial, 2, of the mundane Pure Land. Living deep in a 7-floor pagoda, a senior monk 4 noble truths now emerged, 3, that unexpectedly was preparing to propagate Dharma and pass on his alms bowl and robe. This affair shook the entire mundane Pure Land's 3,000 Buddhist sections. Senior Monk 4 Noble Truths was the mundane Pure Land's #1 senior monk. His dharma was boundless. When he spoke, the ground rushed forth with golden lotuses, completely revealing the bliss of the Western paradise. He had been acclaimed as Buddha West approaches, and ever since he had entered seclusion to cultivate the Chan, Great Nirvana Sutra, a dozen years earlier in the Central Celestial, he did not engage in worldly affairs. However, this senior monk 4 Noble Truths still was a big idol of worship in the Buddha kingdom. No one had ever thought that in this Feast of All Souls, this legendary senior monk would unexpectedly open his altar to propagate Dharma, besides passing on his alms bowl and robes. This honestly shook the Buddha kingdom. That whatever senior monk of the happiness together courtyard seems to be thinking of this matter. He doesn't want more side issues before that passing on of the alms bowl and robe. It's really weird. Shi Yuan was bewildered. What the Buddhist sects carefully select for is a certain karma. Wu Xiao matter-of-factly replied, since Buddha West approaches is choosing a disciple for his mantle, then necessarily before this happens, all Buddhists probably will be devoting themselves entirely to cultivating Chan and Nirvana. Su Xing nodded in agreement. If this Buddha West approaches should be so formidable, then he should be able to give guidance for Big Brother's meditative mind lotus seed? And Suan asked. The efficacious star's words were something the other girls wanted to ask. All of the girls then directed their gazes to the knowledge star. Nevertheless, Wu Xinjie had an appearance of tightly knit brows. Elder sister. And Suan softly called. Wu Xinjie returned to her senses. She nodded and said, if we have senior monk 4 noble truths give guidance, then there should be great certainty young lord's meditative mind lotus flower will bloom. In actuality, when she learned of the existence of a great cultivator that surpassed Emperor Liang, Wu Xinjie had thought of having senior monk 4 noble truths give Su Xing guidance on the meditative mind lotus seed, but in the end, knowing that this senior monk 4 noble truths was already in seclusion cultivating Chan, living a secluded life, not bothering with the world, Wu Xinjie could only dismiss this idea. The knowledge star was very clear that supervoid late-stage peak could even reach transforming star of annihilation cultivation. Regardless of whatever method they used, it was laughable. Perhaps this sort of powerful cultivator was like a 7-star destined weapon, otherwise, everything was speculation. But she did not expect that this senior monk 4 noble truths unexpectedly would open to propagating Dharma in preparation for choosing a successor. What is elder sister worrying about? Yan Yizhen asked. Wu Xinjie shook her head and asked Shi Yuan, Yuaner, did you find information on what is going on with the selection of a successor disciple? Everyone can participate, but there is a trial. The time is on the last day of the Feast of All Souls. Wu Xinjie grunted. This actually did not exceed her expectations. Senior monks that had obtained the Tao like he would not limit the selection of disciples to some condition. Perhaps those trials would be to carefully select for a Buddha nature, perceptive nature, or a Chan nature. Young lord, what do you feel? Wu Xinjie asked in the end. Xinjie only feels this matter is honestly too coincidental, somewhat strange. Su Xing smiled, since this is so coincidental, then even more reason we should go look. Wu Xinjie made a full smile, then we shall listen to young lord. We shall go to Central Celestial for now. Incense burned. There were 2 prayer mats. On the wall were bold characters that came from time immemorial. On the table was a white jade bottle, a goblet of gold, and 2 cups of winding fragrance of putua leaves that came from Mount Wutai. On the prayer mat was an old man, in his twilight years, his brows and long beard and hair white. He was draped in a golden kasaya. His hands formed a seal, and his whole body was enveloped in a Buddhist aura, solemn as a Buddha. The air of his body was extremely faint, but it was full of a solemnity that made people not dare to face him. He was the Buddha kingdom's mightiest that everyone looked up to, the one and only Buddha West approaches, senior monk 4 Noble Truths. A mighty and dignified woman currently sat opposite of senior monk 4 Noble Truths, her face wearing a thin smile. If anyone knew, perhaps the entire Buddha kingdom would flare up. In those years, the 3 stupas under the care of the great Liang Emperor locked their doors and refused entry to anyone. Now, this woman nevertheless confidently sat in front of the senior monk. Not only was her expression calm and composed, she even made people feel that she was above the senior monk. The woman was wrapped in a golden gown, hiding her face, revealing only a pair of fiery golden eyes. The noble truth of suffering, the noble truth of the origin of suffering, the noble truth of the cessation of suffering, the noble truth of the way leading to the cessation of suffering, the 4 noble truths of Buddhism, senior monk 4 noble truths, as expected, thou art great and wise, to fully grasp that quiet nirvana is imminent. The woman praised. Senior monk 4 noble truths opened his eyes, completely indifferent, not a single ripple. Benefactor made old monk open his altar to passing on the alms bowl and robe. Old monk fears that there must be a purpose. Senior monk tells a joke. The woman smile. With senior monk's realm like this, now is the most perfect opportunity to pass on your bowl and robe. Buddhism pays particular attention to a karma, 5, word, and this one has come this time to change karma. 6. Senior monk 4 Noble Truths chanted one of the many names of Buddhas, releasing an auspicious light. A Buddha's pure and holy dignity illuminated the woman's face, dyeing it with a golden light. If it was anyone else, they would have long prostrated themselves before Senior monk 4 Noble Truths' power, but the woman seemed to completely lack that awareness. She merely wore a smile in her eyes, her whole body exhibiting a multicolored light that evaded this Buddhist aura. Does senior monk still feel this one would deceive you? Amitba, sadhu, sadhu. Lady Benefactor is very skilled, as expected. The Buddhist light retracted, and senior monk 4 Noble Truths was silent. If senior monk truly wishes to achieve this transforming star of annihilation, this one has another proposition. The woman took up the tea on the table, faintly taking a sip, as if she was casually giving this top-notch cultivator of the Azure Dragon territory an idea. Senior monk 4 Noble Truths nodded. Lady Benefactor, please speak forthrightly. This time, when senior monk selects a disciple, it must be from the millions of Buddhist sects. At that time, if senior monk can light the 5 dragons bright light lantern, 7, releasing a bright radiance, illuminating all places is a major accomplishment of boundless beneficence. The woman said indifferently. Buddha West approaches stared. The 5 dragons bright light lamp was but Buddhism's supreme spiritual treasure. It was not to be easily displayed. Hearing what his counterpart's words seemingly indicated, senior monk 4 Noble Truths closed his eyes and chanted, yet he did not answer. Nothing ventured, nothing gained, the Central Celestial's Feast of All Souls is more lively than the rest. This one shall first go take a look around, quietly awaiting the Buddhist sect of senior monk. The woman smiled. Instantly, she vanished from the room like smoke. Atop the 7th-floor pagoda, she looked down upon this mundane world. Allow this one to see what stage you and those girls can achieve in the end, Su Xing. The veil covering her face was removed, showing the countenance of a flower, a face like the moon. She was Thousand Buddha Star, Chao Gai. The rain was just like a broken string of pearls dropping from the sky, splashing on the quiet limestone street, raising a hazy mist. Su Xing ducked his head as he dodged under an eave. He looked up at this roaring downpour, shouting to himself about his bad luck. He had come to this central celestial for no more than a day just to see this most celebrated place of the Buddha kingdom. How could he have anticipated that in just a moment, a great rain would fall? Furthermore, this rain also oddly stuck to his body like dewdrops, with even star energy having difficulty evaporating it away. Reportedly, this was called Buddha rain, and each raindrop polluted karma. Woo, woo. Gong Sun Huang let out an uncomfortable whimper. Su Xing smiled. He took out a towel and helped wipe her clean. Little Huang, shall we hide from the rain for now or go back? Gong Sun Huang cocked her head and showed a pained face. Let's take cover from the rain for now, then, see if this Buddha rain is any bit interesting. Su Xing nodded. Only then at this time did Su Xing see that under the eaves was also a girl similarly hiding from the rain. That girl could make anyone feel extremely blinded. That gentle and beautiful face had a sort of indescribable purity and holiness. Her expression was calm as a dry well, her soft hair like rolling waves. Due to being caught in the Buddha rain just now, the raindrops stuck to the girl's simple attire, moistening her skin that seemed delicate enough to break from just blowing on it. Her slender curves were fully exposed, and even though this was so, Su Xing nevertheless felt that the girl before his eyes had a kind of inviolable sanctity, one that made people unable to raise even the slightest profane idea. The girl's face wore contemplation. She gazed at the hazy downpour, her gaze a deep azure, deep like the sea to the point of making people feel they were helplessly falling in. She was just like a meticulously carved and chiseled piece of fine jade. So beautiful. Even if Su Xing was accustomed to seeing every sort of lovely appearance, he could not help but be moved once more by that sort of pure and holy beauty of the girl in front of him. The girl concentrated on the downpour entirely, completely overlooking Su Xing and Gong Sun Huang as if they were air. Gong Sun Huang once again sat upon Su Xing's shoulder. The little lowly also noticed the woman beside them. Su Xing's gaze returned to this rain. He extended a hand to catch a few raindrops that dribbled along the roof and fell. He regretfully said, "This rain truly has made Buddhism create many evils." Why does benefactor say this? The girl's gaze glanced at him, her sharp brows wrinkled. Buddha says there is a world in a flower. If that is so, then a raindrop is also a world. Now, there is a downpour falling here, and there are also trillions of worlds, falling to the earth and nevertheless immediately dying. Could it not be because of Buddhism's description? Su Xing looked at that mist. Hearing his sophistry, the girl showed the tranquility of still waters, flowers bloom and flowers fall, life and death alternate in turn, and all living things enter samsara. This is karma itself. To say that Buddhism created this evil, benefactor is tricked by Mara. Su Xing showed a bit of surprise. The girl was more comprehending of Chan than he had imagined. Actually, this karma, too, is also sophistry. Su Xing carefully challenged. How do you say? The girl was not angry. Su Xing said, Buddha says where there is cause, 3, there must be effect, but tracing back to before heaven and earth split, what was the cause of that? That would be samsara. The girl calmly answered. Su Xing was speechless. This girl honestly was sharp enough to not break a sweat. Do you also believe in Buddhism? Gong Sun Huang said. Believe and also do not believe. No need to make every sentence so Chan in meaning, Su Xing smiled. The girl smiled, her gaze again returning to the rain, unable to pierce through, unable to see clearly. Your Highness. Gongsun Huang curiously said to Su Xing, Little Huang, what do you say about me spitting at a statue of Buddha again? Su Xing was speechless. Gongsun Huang shook her head. The meaning was, Your Highness, could you be any more disgusting? Gongsun Huang passed the towel over to Su Xing, her expression watching the girl with even more care than with Su Xing. The meditative mind cannot be treated as food to eat. Yes, you'd better wipe down a bit. Su Xing passed the towel to the girl. The girl wanted to say something, but Su Xing promptly interrupted her, saying that she best not give some dharma or such in refusal. Indebted to your kindness. The girl was slightly taken aback. Then, she took the towel. Your servant is Su Xing, this is. When Su Xing was about to introduce Gongsun Huang, he hesitated. It was reasonable to say that he was to introduce her as his wife, but good heavens, she was only 7 or 8 years old in appearance. Little Huang. The girl faintly nodded. The moisture of the rain wiped past her temples, she clapped her hands together in prayer. Poor nun is Chan Xian. 5. Chan Xian. Su Xing's brows rose. Your Highness. Gongsun Huang softly called. Su Xing shook his head. He looked pensively at Chan Xian. Su Xing gazed at the rain, and he suddenly felt this rain was considerably meditative, quiet as still waters. There was something apparently stirring in sea of consciousness. The meditative mind lotus seed slowly cracked open, faintly with the signs of germination. Su Xing felt this, and he immediately shut his eyes, circulating the absolute sincerity soul technique. However, afterwards, no other reaction could be seen, as if that feeling just now was only an illusion. The rain showed no signs of abating. When Su Xing saw that this rain was without end, he just so happened to consider going back anyways. Just at this moment, he heard a creaking sound, and the main gate opened. The two turned their heads. A little novice monk walked out. Master Jia Yi, 6, invites benefactors to step into the temple away from the rain. Only then did Su Xing notice that the place they were hiding from the rain was actually the back gate of someone else's temple. On this side, Su Xing still hesitated to enter. Chan Xian respectfully saluted and followed the little novice monk into the monastery. Su Xing did not delay when he saw this. The inner part of the temples was more wide than he had imagined. A gilded walkway extending across the rear garden was more imposing style than the imperial court. Golden para trees and every sort of Buddhist flora were planted in the surroundings. Across the walkway, they saw an 8-section heavenly dragon pavilion. Under the pavilion's roof was a kindly old man in the middle of chanting. Master Jia Yi. The little monk deferentially said. Benefactors, please come in and sit. Chan Master Jia Yi gently said. Su Xing and the others sat, inwardly sizing up this old man. His presence was profound, and even with Su Xing seeing clearly, he could not make out the old man's cultivation. It was simply unfathomable. Chan Master, with all respect. Chan Xian put her hands together. Poor monk heard you two benefactors discuss Chan in the rain just a moment ago. Poor monk grew curious and thus could not help but have benefactors come inside. Many apologies. Chan Master Jia Yi smiled, his attitude extremely sincere. Poor nun would not dare. Chan Xian calmly replied. Hearing this benefactor speak just now, his views about the matters of karma has made poor monk very impressed. Everyone enters samsara, yet karma does not enter samsara. Jia Yi said. Su Xing and Chan Xian were entirely stunned. But if that is so, then, Chan Xian was puzzled. What enlightenment is there in listening to the Chan master? Su Xing did not remain calm and collected. He heard the meaning behind the words of the Chan master in front of him. Chan Master Jia Yi stood up. The three followed suit, accompanying Chan Master Jia Yi to 2 trees he pointed at. One was a withered tree, and the other was a luxuriant tree. He asked them, do you feel that the withered is the right, or that the thriving is the right? 7. The thriving is right. Su Xing wrinkled his brow and said. Chan Master Jia Yi smiled and said, luminous everywhere, radiant and glittering. He then asked again, is the withered the right, or is the thriving the right? Withered. Gong Sun Huang saw that Su Xing's answer was incorrect and said the opposite. Chan Master Jia Yi still faintly smiled, luminous everywhere, teach and the withering slows. Chan Master Jia Yi at this time looked at Chan Xian, once again asking, is the withered the right, or is the thriving the right? Chan Xian muttered for a moment, then said, the withered is from its withering, the thriving is from its thriving. As expected of the one named Chan Xian, her reply was ambiguous and impeccable. Su Xing thought that this time had to be right. How could they have foreseen Jia Yi would still smile and shake his head, no, no. If he did not see that the old man in front of him had a cultivation of probably supervoid star, Su Xing would have felt the old man was messing with them. What does Chan Master mean? Su Xing asked. If thriving was right, then the world would be radiant and glittering beauty. If withered was right, then the world would be monotonous ground, a bleak and lonely path to walk. And this lady benefactor Chan Xian feels that withering makes it go wither, and that thriving makes it thrive. This is also incorrect because this loses the point of life, making you unable to be responsible for yourself. Jia Yi slowly said, for any one tree, withering is the very end of thriving, and thriving is the very beginning of withering. Withering and thriving cannot be separated, for withering and thriving are one. There is no difference. In poor monk's eyes, it is a tree. Thriving and withering are its nature. Su Xing perspired. This monk honestly could speak eloquently. Cause and effect, then, is like this tree's withering and thriving, inherently one. This benefactor said that the cause and effect of the splitting of earth and heaven was also such. Jia Yi said. Su Xing half understood. The meaning was probably that the world and karma were mixed into one. If you thought it was cause, then it was cause. If you felt it was effect, then it was effect. Inwardly, he admired this Chan master, for the Chan master spoke about Chan with skill. Chan Xian has received instruction. The girl nodded and said, however, Chan Xian has something she does not understand and wishes to ask Chan master for guidance. Ha, ha. There is no harm in speaking your mind. Chan Xian said, wise Buddhists have taught us, verdant bamboo is completely a corporeal body, the dense yellow flowers only prajna. Non-believers feel this is an evil doctrine, and believers consider this unfathomable, but poor nun wonders which is true. Chan Master Jia Yi answered, this is what those of the realms of Manjushri and Samantabhadra have insisted the lay people and Hinayana should receive. Hence, the Flower Adornment Sutra, 8, teaches us, the Dharma body is full of Dharma realm, generally appearing before everything, following karma without end, and often residing in this Bodhi seat. Since green bamboo does not stem from the Dharma realm, how can it be a Dharma body? And the Wisdom Sutra teaches us, appearance is without boundary, thus wisdom is also without boundary. Since yellow flowers are not outside this color, how can it be wisdom? Thus, the sutra are inherently not determinate of Dharma, and Dharma is inherently not numerous. After the girl listened, she still did not understand, asking again, in this information, what are the believers? The non-believers? Chan Master Jia Yi pointed out an even higher concept, answering, the believers are conventional truth, 9, the non-believers absolute truth. 10, Chan Xian wrinkled her brow, non-believers are ridiculed as non-Buddhists. Why does Chan Master say they are the absolute truth? Non-believers naturally are not believers, and the absolute truth is naturally the absolute truth. Because it is the absolute truth, the common person is therefore blamed as non-Buddhist. As for the non-Buddhist, can they speak about absolute truth? Chan Master Jia Yi slightly smiled, making a summary. Chan Xian pondered. The Su Xing to the side only half understood. Inwardly, this Buddhist Chan sect was cryptic, as expected. To bloom the Chan Xian lotus seed honestly was not a simple matter. it seemed reaching the realm of a smiling Buddha was still very far off. On the contrary, that Chan Xian girl made Su Xing very curious. She was considerably devoted to Buddhism, calmly discussing Chan with Chan Master Jia Yi, every single of her movements having a considerable sort of attitude. This made Su Xing unable to help but recall someone. He and Gong Sun Huang could not help but be drawn in by their discussion of Chan technique. Gradually, he seemed to have comprehended and vaguely caught onto something. The rainy fog was pervasive, the sounds of Chan beautiful. Su Xing absolutely forgot about the time, watching the girl's meticulous face. Outside the temple, the rain had stopped. Actually, Su Xing had never not cultivated Dharma. When he was on earth, his family elders had connections to Buddhism. Su Xing still remembered the Buddhist classic, wind moves, flag moves, mind moves. Su Xing remembered that even now, and he originally wanted to show off, but thinking that it was too childish, he nonetheless stopped. However, Su Xing was still fundamentally an atheist. He believed deities, demons, and God were too fantastical. Since this was so, hearing Dharma today made Su Xing ponder if he had a slight change of view towards this religion. At the very least, he would no longer snort at it, but the two Buddhists really were too cryptic, which made Su Xing have a sort of fear that if he used this method to bloom the meditative mind lotus seed, he would go mad. The rain stopped, and Chan Master Jia Yi urged the group to stay for dinner. Chan Xian declined, and Su Xing also refused. Exiting the front gate, only then did they discover that the temple was large beyond reason, overly refined. Outside the temple, the stars were already emerging, and the bright moon was rising. That Chan Master Jia Yi did not make you satisfied? Su Xing could discern that Chan Xian and Chan Master Jia Yi had discussed for a day, but she was still bewildered. He saw the girl's pointed brows were twisted, her pupils still as calm as a dry well when he first saw her. Chan Master Jia Yi is the ancestral master of Buddhism Great Way, but the way that Chan Xian seeks is not the same. There is no connection. Chan Xian was absolutely calm. Honestly, it is a profound mystery. Su Xing's head hurt. Buddhism's seemingly specious arguments honestly made people's heads hurt. For today's Chan discussion in the rain, Chan Xian thanks you for and takes her leave. The girl put her hands together, directly and efficiently turning around. Su Xing had even wanted to have Chan Xian stay. The words had yet to leave his mouth, when at this time, Chan Xian had already disappeared into the bustling crowd of people. Instantly, he lost any trace of her, left only with the glittering Chan's speech that was fainter than fireworks. When night fell, the Feast of All Souls began. Su Xing saw this and returned home with Gong Sun Huang. Along the road. Little Huang, I want to ask you a question. Your Highness, please ask. Do you want to be my little sister? Daughter? Su Xing said these words diffidently. Su Xing was defeated by Gong Sun Huang's accusatory expression, but wouldn't treating you as my wife get us censored? 2. You're only 6 or 7 years old, wouldn't I be treated as a weird uncle? We do not have ages. Gong Sun Huang broke the heavenly mystery with one sentence. That's fine then. As your Highness wishes. Gong Sun Huang kissed Su Xing. Returning to the room, he saw the girls had already dressed up and groomed themselves, and they were just waiting for him to come back. Su Xing then spoke about the matter of discussing Chan in the rain. Chan Master Jia Yi is the Chan Master of the Jewel Blue Temple, 3, one of the Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors. Wu Xinjie said in surprise. So he was a 6 ancestors. No wonder his tongue was so flowery. Su Xing suddenly understood, and then he asked about matters concerning the disciple that Buddha West approaches will pass his robe and alms bowl to. Outside the room, at this time, a firework blossomed. Shi Yuan shouted in excitement from beside the window, let's go see the Central Celestial's Feast of All Souls. The Central Celestial was the center of the Buddha Kingdom's 18 celestials. It was very comparable to the status of the Great Liang's capital Bian City. In this central celestial, there reportedly were several million residents, from those streets that could line 10 chariots up side to side, to the surroundings of unending streams of people. In the pitch-black night sky, the fireworks blossomed with every sort of gorgeous position. From time to time, there were dragons and phoenixes, and occasionally, there were meteors filling the sky. The pitch-black sky was illuminated by these sorts of multicolored fireworks, instantly glittering bright. Furthermore, the brightly lit river lanterns of the central celestial's river Ganges floated on the river's surface in the darkness. Tens of thousands of boat lanterns illuminated this night like stars circulating across the entire sky, appearing very magnificent. Fireworks, delicacies, prayers for blessings, cultivation of chan, and the river lanterns were all characteristics of the Feast of All Souls. Apart from this, the temple fairs and Buddhism's universal offerings each had their own highlights, tireless to look at. Walking amidst the throngs of celebration, Su Xing had seemingly returned to a familiar place. As a soldier, he had originally did nothing out of the ordinary all year round outside the service. After Su Xing came to Liangshan, he very quickly adapted, but this time, he could not help but evoke a homesick mood. After a sigh, Su Xing's thoughts returned to this place. Wu Xinjie and the others already were attracted by every sort of lively thing of the Feast of All Souls. Lin Yingmei was being called back and forth between every sort of Buddhist treat by Wu Xiao, and Shi Yuan was in the middle of relaxing, that pair of round eyes spinning around somewhat evilly. This best thief under heaven actually had a sort of headache-inducing feeling of professional ethic. As far as being stretched taut like a bowstring year-round under the star duels, this actually was very difficult to relax for. Slowly, even Yan Yizhen was attracted by the various verses and riddles on the lanterns of the festival. "Little Huang, you won't go take a look?" Su Xing was also very happy seeing all of the girls have such a good time. The leisure star was very leisurely, or it could be said that she was exceedingly refined to a certain realm. This sort of liveliness did not make Gongsun Huang give rise to the slightest bit of interest, as if in all the world, the only thing she wanted was Su Xing's shoulder. Licking the tanghulu, 5, that Su Xing bought for her, Gongsun Huang shook her head. Suddenly, Gongsun Huang pointed a finger, as if she was saying, "Your Highness, go look over there." Su Xing increased his pace and walked over. This place had a few merchant booths that came from the western regions. The western regions and far west Buddha kingdom were very close, both sides commonly dealing with the other. Su Xing did not feel this was odd, yet the things these western region merchants were selling made his eyes shine. On a piece of silk was a transparent rock, the inside of which appeared iridescent. It was a diamond, and a colored diamond at that. In actuality, Liangshan continent's precious gems were too numerous to mention. Stones like rainbow-colored glass and such made people dazzled. This colored diamond sold on earth would be priceless, yet here, it was worthless. It could not even compare to ivory or amber and the like. Shower. Su Xing suddenly noticed a familiar figure. Shower was pursing her lips, looking anxiously at a couplet on the surface. Suddenly, someone patted her shoulder. The girl instinctively turned around and punched, a golden light startling away the surrounding people. Su Xing was taken aback. Immediately, he stepped backwards, dodging light as a feather. Gongsun Huang pointed a finger, and a bolt of magic shot forth. Shower deflected it with a fist, her figure just like a dragon. So violent. When Shower saw that it was Su Xing, her figure stopped, and she put her hands behind her back, voluntarily smiling, "Long time no see, Su Xing." Glancing at Gongsun Huang, a bewildered expression flashed past Shower's eyes. She then said, "You fickle man, you have switched to a little sister. Could it be that Lin Chong could not satisfy you? Why did Su Xing sound that strange? This also my wife little Huang." The corner of Su Xing's mouth rose. When Gongsun Huang saw she was not an enemy, she again sucked on the tanghulu. Shower wanted to laugh. Any way she looked at it, they were like a father and his daughter, a child bride. Ha, ha. Shower, why would you have interest in running over to the Buddha kingdom? Su Xing walked over. The other people saw that there was nothing wrong and very quickly settled down. Numerous people maintained odd appearances, but this nevertheless could be overlooked. The Feast of All Souls is so lively, of course shower would come. Also, shower's good luck truly is great, to surprisingly encounter the legendary Buddha West approaches disciple succession. Shower smiled. You also want to go for the selection? Su Xing was astonished. Why not go? Shower smiled and countered. Su Xing was silent. Oh, even if it was us, listening to Dharma is very helpful in advancing cultivation realm, particularly those powerful adepts that can reach transforming star of annihilation. Shower talked and walked, her pace light and quick. On the contrary, why would you appear here? What about Lin Chong and the rest? Shower asked. Su Xing hinted at the beauties that were not too far away. Shower showed an expression of surprise. Then, she smiled and shook her head, as if she could not believe this. I came to the Buddha kingdom also to hear Dharma. Su Xing said. Shower's eyes seemed to say that perhaps things were not so simple, but the girl did not ask. She merely smiled leisurely. Suddenly, she recalled something, and her eyes glinted at Su Xing. Since you can contract the skillful star, your literary talent must be outstanding, correct? Come, quickly come save Shower. The girl pulled Su Xing and ran towards a booth. Her movements attracted the other beauties over. Who is this elder sister? Shi Yuan, and Suwen and Tang Lianxin had never seen Shower before and were confused, but they felt a sort of prideful dignity. Wu Xio whispered something, and the girls' mouths hung agape when they heard. Shower, why would you have interest in running here? Wu Xinjie and Su Xing were both curious. Forget about this for now. Help me take a look at this first. Shower pointed at a lantern riddle. To be able to make Shower so vexed, everyone felt this was odd. After knowing things, they somewhat did not know whether to laugh or cry. As it turned out, Shao had looked upon a Qilin spice bag, but it turned out this booth owner was not selling it, that they needed to supply a response. It was obvious from a look that this red-haired, blue-eyed shopkeeper was from the western regions, and his attitude was very stubborn, even a little arrogant. But seeing that couplet, Shower was nearly driven mad. Everyone looked at the couplet, and they perspired. Draw upon the painting of the lotus flower monk. 6. So long as you can answer your servant's couplet, this spice bag is yours. The red-haired man was gruff. That this man set up shop here showed he had some time, and seeing that he had set up an array, he was somewhat arrogant. Others had the mind to waste their breath, nevertheless, they could not answer. Can you answer it? Shower's eyes glittered, treating Su Xing as her savior. Is absolutely gifting it not too convenient? Su Xing said. This spice bag is but a treasure of our western region Huishu kingdoms. 7. Princess. Ha, ha, the couplet comes from very ancient writings, specially making your servants seek an answer. The red-haired man said. It is our famed national treasure, ha, ha, something certainly not to be requested. Wu Xinjie was speechless. This couplet was honestly too difficult. Su Xing also was unable to find a solution, so everyone asked Yanizhen. The skillful star did not even need to think, saying, Western region's spice bag is renowned in the West. 8. Everyone was shocked. Even the red-haired man who was smug just a moment ago was flabbergasted. Little E truly is awesome. Su Xing lauded her. Although it was not necessarily as fine, it perfectly used this spice bag renowned in the far west to create an answer. The red-haired man was completely shaken to speechlessness. Praises, praises, your servant's eyes are opened. The red-haired man earnestly said. Although it is somewhat lacking, based on your distinguished self's keen mind, the spice bag is yours. Ha, ha, too awesome. Shower said excitedly. She extended her hand, bring this fire Qilin spice bag here. There is another absolute. If you can answer this one, not only will your servant offer this fire Chilan spice bag, your servant will also gift all of this friend's women a spice bag. How does that sound? The man said. Although he felt exchanging absolutes for all eternity for spice bags was somewhat a loss, seeing Shower cares so much, he thought that these spice bags were not ordinary objects. Moreover, this was merely answering couplets. Let alone Yan Yizhen going again, Su Xing could do it, too. To recount, his absolutes for all eternity were not few in number. Alright. Everyone did not have an opinion. The Western region man had probably been mighty for these days, for upon hearing someone had answered the absolute, the surroundings immediately were packed full of curious spectators. The red-haired man chucked and brought out the next couplet. The others saw and were hoarse. When Su Xing saw, he wanted to laugh. Sure enough, this couplet was déjà vu. Palace graduate is completely short-sighted. Seeing this couplet, all of the girls were stumped. To make up a couplet using homophones, no wonder this red-haired man was so self-confident. In actuality, this homophonic couplet was not necessarily very absolute, but thinking for a little while, it was not so easy. Shower was very disdainful towards this sort of couplet. This couplet is much simpler than the other one just now. The man laughed, somewhat crafty, as if he was hiding something. Indeed, it is much simpler. Su Xing smiled, little E does not need to do anything, I'll complete it. Please. Shao had a very expectant expression as she watched Su Xing. Su Xing glanced around and spotted in the crowd a monk of Crane Mountain, too, wearing a brown shirt. The corner of lips curled, and he answered, brown shirt monk of Crane Mountain. 3. 2 monks froze. Good. The surrounding people clapped. Yan Yizhen nodded, the corner of her lips slightly suppressing a smile, her expression even gratified. This brother's mind is actually fine, however, this couplet is certainly not that simple. The man laughed aloud. He read the couplet again, this time, adding a, this world, 5, to the beginning. Thus, it again turned into a 4-phrase homophone absolute, this world's palace graduate is completely short-sighted. This was somewhat absolute. The crowd that was happy just now seemed to have been doused with ice water, everyone immediately falling silent. Are Westerners so fond of making things difficult for people? Shower interjected, not happy at all. Brown shirt monk of Crane Mountain is kindly. 6. Su Xing sneered, instantly blurting. Incredible. This brother answers so finely. Everyone cheered, crying out praises one after another. The man from the west did not expect Su Xing could answer so smoothly. Not omitting anything, he ground his teeth and said, this world's palace graduate is completely short-sighted eating food. 7. On river's brown shirt monk of Crane Mountain is kindly. 8. He might as well finish it all off. The western man's face turned red as pig's liver. This time, he remained silent, unable to think of anything. No more. What a pity, I'll help you add a phrase, on river's brown shirt monk of Crane Mountain is kindly closing fans. 9. Su Xing leisurely said. Crumble. Everything crumbled. Hearing that hard-to-pronounce homophonic sentence, the western man was thoroughly blank in the head. His mouth hung agape, incredulous at Su Xing. The other masses only felt that what Su Xing said was seemingly obscure, but resolute people could still hear this was answered without difficulty. Su Xing's beautiful wives looked at each other and smiled. The central celestial is wide and deep, your servant praises. After a good while, the western man then returned to his senses from his dizziness, his mind dazzled from Su Xing's long couplet. He did not make any more objection, presenting to them 9 wonderfully scented spice bags with both hands. Su Xing saw he was so meek and said, actually, if you really want an absolute for all eternity, your servant has one couplet, one that surely cannot be answered by anyone in the world. Brother truly has this sort of couplet. The western man said in shock. Hearing Su Xing's full self-confidence that it was an absolute for all eternity that could not be answered by anyone under heaven, everyone was very much in disbelief. Other than Su Xing's beauties, the others only felt this man was somewhat arrogant from facing off in couplet. Unanswerable by anyone under heaven was certainly underestimating the people of this world. Do you truly want this absolute for all eternity? Su Xing chuckled, his gaze staring at the Western man's booth with sinister designs. The opponent immediately understood. The Western man did not dare be careless. Waving his hand, he took out an elaborate porcelain bottle. The bottle glittered with a crimson light. That light was odd, similar to a wan bird in shape. A strange scent wafted. Sniffing this made the limbs weak, the mind carefree and relaxed. Even if it was sealed in a bottle, they could feel that the thing inside was out of the ordinary. Phoenix saliva perfume, 10, suddenly, 2 monks shouted from within the crowd. Phoenix saliva perfume. Hearing this name, Ansuan was shaken, covering her mouth in shock. Is it a unique spirit medicine? Some people were confused. This is but the path of Yellow Scarlet's great healing spirit liquid. Su Xing's eyes glittered. Phoenix saliva perfume came from a unique spirit wood, the Phoenix seeks Phoenix. 11. The Phoenix seeks Phoenix took 100 years to bloom, 200 years to bear fruit, and 300 years to condense a fragrant perfume. This was Phoenix saliva perfume. Reportedly, this sort of Phoenix saliva perfume could be used to lure phoenixes. Furthermore, this Phoenix saliva perfume had another ability, which was that it could enormously benefit dual cultivation. Buddhism's happiness Chan actually could not obtain it. Of course, what was more important was that Ansuan required 3 great main medicines to refine yin-yang love-making powder, and Phoenix saliva perfume was one of them. Su Xing did not expect at all that this man would take out such a valuable thing. Princess Yu is very fond of central celestial life, particularly treasuring these couplets. Although this Phoenix saliva perfume is valuable, it is useless to us. The princess's original intention was that had the couplet not been answered, your servant would present it to the Happiness Together courtyard. Buddha Extreme Happiness had requested it. Since this brother has already answered, and with an absolute for eternity, your servant has confidence that the princess will not say anything if your servant confers it to brother. The Western man explained, showing an expression of tacit understanding, brother will definitely be very satisfied with this Phoenix saliva perfume. That's actually generous. Su Xing smiled. If you truly have an absolute for all eternity, this bottle of Phoenix saliva perfume will be gifted to brother. The Western man solemnly said. A child's wholesome thinking comprehends the willow, abandons food and wine, sincerity is love. 12. Su Xing said the first couplet. Flabbergasted stares. At first glance, Su Xing's couplet was very simple. Willows in Buddhism represented sweeping filth back to the quiet self-nature from whence it came. This couplet's meaning was that a child comprehended the nature of Buddha from looking at a willow. From this he gave up meat and wine. The original idea was love, but Su Xing's couplet was selected for homophones of numbers, from 1 to 12. This was somewhat of a headache. Seeing everyone's blank stares, Su Xing laughed. Fine, then. This is my last one. It's not necessarily an absolute, and it may not be one at all. I will give you a true absolute now. What, you still have absolutes? The man's mouth could not close. A quiet studious life is empty as widowhood. 13. Su Xing slowly said. This couplet truly was absolute. Although Su Xing had seen many couplets on the web, such as some, a desert sea of tears gradually reaches high tide, return to the lotus path, return to freedom, and the like, it was difficult to make something flawless as, willow pond locked in smoke. It truly was not because of those elaborate words, rather, there was no follow-up that could compare to the artistry of the 2 words, a quiet. The quiet breathing on the street was audible. Su Xing saw that everyone's eyeballs that were about to pop out. Are you a monster? The Western man screamed, this couplet is too absolute. Your servant wholeheartedly accept it. Your servant shall give these 2 couplets to the princess. This time, the man no longer made any twists or turns. He very frankly gave that phoenix saliva perfume and the spice bags to Su Xing. But someone interfered. Since this phoenix saliva perfume was to be sent to the Happiness Together courtyard, for benefactor to give it to someone else, that is rather too disrespectful. 2 monks ran over and denounced. From their robes, they were disciples of the Happiness Together courtyard. Su Xing smiled. If anyone here can answer, they can take the phoenix saliva perfume. The 2 monks stared wide-eyed. Then, they looked at their surroundings. At this moment, they had already been surrounded by many senior monks and Chan masters racking their brains. For this sort of circulated absolute, without Baidu, to have them answer in a short time honestly was not an easy thing. This meditative mind was not omnipotent either. We wonder if benefactor would be willing to gift this phoenix saliva perfume to the Happiness Together courtyard. The monks were still stubborn, using their reputation as a Buddhism's 6th ancestor. Wu Xinjie gazed at Shi Yuan, and they could not help but snicker. The others being laughed at were baffled. How could they have known that not long before, Su Xing's group had designs on the Happiness Together courtyard's ancestral master? Whatever reputation they had was fleeting. In the end, everyone repeatedly exclaimed in admiration, only dispersing after this absolute for all eternity. So fragrant. Shower sniffed the Qilin spice bag, a face of satisfaction. What use does this spice bag have? Everyone was very curious. Don't you think it makes for a great accessory? Shower said. Where is that phoenix saliva perfume? Shi Yuan swallowed hard, her eyes gleaming, keeping her mind on that phoenix saliva perfume. Yuaner, you cannot use this. And Suan softly laughed. Shi Yuan nodded in understanding. She knew it was for the yin-yang love-making powder. Of course, the thief star dreamed that the efficacious star could quickly refine it. This is all thanks to your man. Honestly, you impress Shower. Shower praised. Thinking back to the couplets just now, Su Xing's actions honestly made her feel even more surprised. She wondered how that brain thought up of so many exquisite couplets. Not only she, but Su Xing's 8 beauties also were in wonder. Yan Yizhen's indifferent eyes continuously burned with a luminous light. It seems Su Xing's overly excessive approach just now made the skillful star endlessly moved. Read more books. Su Xing said, which was true. All of the girls faintly smiled. Then, Su Xing's group wandering about the Feast of All Souls gained a new member, Shower. Towards this elder sister of the Star Maidens, even Wu Xinjie was very curious, actively chatting with her on the road. The fireworks were endlessly bright in the sky, and Su Xing looked at their faces wearing slight smiles. Suddenly his shoulder was lightly tapped. He lifted his head to look. Gongsun Huang blinked, gazing at a remote location. Following her line of sight, Su Xing immediately spotted a familiar figure. Chan Xin. Chan Xin seemed to be chatting with someone, but the person was too far away to see clearly. She seemed to wear a blue and white dress. Su Xing recalled Chan Xin's identity, and thus he quickly walked over. Right at this moment, Chan Xin and the person she chatted with bade farewell and turned away. Chan Xin froze when she spotted Su Xing. As far as this man who discussed Chan in the rain with her, Chan Xin still had quite the impression. Su Xing's heart had a bit of consolation. Are you alone? Su Xing asked her. Chan Xin did not answer, her face calm as a dry well. What's the matter? Did you have any harvest? Su Xing asked in succession. With so many Buddhist sects, the Central Celestial has many Chan masters. There ought to be one that can help you. Chan Xin slightly shook her head, her expression very regretful. Poor nun takes her leave. Chan Xin clapped her hands together, very bluntly saying. Want to come back with me? Oh, I have a wife that probably is very related to you. Su Xing called out. How could he have anticipated that not even Chan Xion's head would turn? Her figure swiftly disappeared into the sea of people, a very faint sentence burning in his ears. If there is connection we will meet again. If there is connection, we will meet again, is it? Su Xing could not help but smile. And what beauty were you seducing just now? Su Xing turned around and happened to spot Shower looking all around, showing a slightly curious expression. Am I so boring? Su Xing feigned seriousness. Shower nodded with certainty. Su Xing rolled his eyes at her. Forget it. Shower certainly does not have interest in minding your romantic affairs. The temple fair has a martial arts arena, which is quite interesting. You had best go take a look. Shower said. Su Xing paused, then he quickly walked over. The arena at the temple fair was constructed from shala tree wood, more than 3 zhang long, the surroundings full of people. On the arena, there were 2 tall female figures. One of them had wheat-colored skin, sloppy black hair that flowed over her shoulders, she wore short pants and unlined garments, a very sensual appearance, and her eyes emitted an ice-cold ferocity. Su Xing was very familiar with this woman, Black Whirlwind Li Longkue. However, at this time, Li Longkue's expression was unsightly. To be able to make the killer star so deflated was a similarly tall and wonderful woman. She had a purple ponytail that hung down to her butt, and she wore revealing clothes, exposing a large amount of her snowy skin that appeared supple and full yet brimming with an explosive energy. This gave people a sort of feeling of mediocrity from those developed muscles. Seeing the woman's figure was so provocative, it was a pity she wore an apathetic Buddhist mask. Her appearance was completely concealed, and this actually made people feel like trembling with fear. Why would Li Kue be here? Su Xing was confused what was happening with this Li Longkue. Li Kue, young lord recognizes her. Wu Xinjie and the group showed surprised expressions. Su Xing nodded. It truly is little sister Li Kue. Wu Xinjie gazed at Li Longkue smiled. What is the meaning of this? Su Xing asked. As it turned out, a man had opened this martial arts competition arena, challenging anyone, and the victor could obtain the 7 stars dark sky sand, but the losers similarly were required to leave behind items of considerable worth. The competition arena's rules were very simple. Both parties were to be unarmed, and whoever left the arena first would lose. The women on the arena made people tease them for a long while, however, that 7-star dark sky sand was but an extremely good thing. 1 liang was worth 5 billion. The Buddha kingdom's Buddhist cultivators had always cultivated their physical bodies, they were always conceded in unarmed challenges, but they had never expected to be completely defeated. Hearing the people in this place speak, the man who placed this arena was named Huang Futiani, 2, and the female combatant was named Ruoxue. 3. He called himself Royalty of the West. Putting this arena down and making the woman fight elicited many jeers, however, that woman truly was formidable. She continuously triumphed over the Buddha kingdom's cultivators, unexpectedly collecting a lot over these days in the Feast of All Souls. With a woman's identity, defeating so many of the Vajra Buddhist kingdom cultivators, her status as a star general was naturally self-evident. However, to be able to challenge her stirred even more interest out of the Buddha kingdom's cultivators, who originally were aloof. The fighters increased in number, but up until now, they were all defeated without exception. If it was not for Buddha West approaches selecting a successor disciple, the monks that came here every day to challenge her would be in the hundreds. 7 stars dark sky sand. Su Xing's eyes glinted. This was a material star generals needed to upgrade their star weapons to 5-star. Never expected this would unexpectedly draw an elder sister Black Whirlwind. And Suan exclaimed. How odd, why would the killer star run to the Buddha kingdom? Truly confusing. Perhaps she is also here to hear Dharma. Is the Buddha kingdom's heavenly solitary star not present? Shower pondered. Since Li Kue is here, she is also here. Su Xing looked all around, yet he could not see Qingxi's figure. Suddenly, the entire crowd let out a gasp of shock. Li Longkue furiously shouted, both her fists rushing forth. That Ruoshue's fists directly caught Li Longkue's explosive punches. The killer star's strength was obvious, for the ground was shook by the power of them both. Then, Ruoshue suddenly flipped backwards. A gorgeous arc Li Longkue unexpectedly was thrown out. The Black Whirlwind's reactions were also quick. The moment she left the arena, she air-kicked, but the opponent had clearly anticipated this. With steps swift as the wind, she scuttled right to her front, sticking right next to her. With both hands, Ruoshue threw Li Longkue down. The killer star grit her teeth, very much in a difficult situation. Her always violent fists turned pale, and a gloomy double-sided axe immediately appeared in her hands. Everyone was mute. This beauty, if you lose, just accept it. Going back on your word in front of Buddha certainly is not good. An outstanding and elegant voice, a slovenly dressed man scuttled onto the arena. He was Huang Futiani. A painful point was pointed out about Li Longkue. Her ashen face grunted, and then she stowed her double-edged axe, turned and left. Hey, beauty, you have not left your black bandage netherworld jade. Huang Futiani shouted. A black rock suddenly shot over lightning quick. Huang Futiani caught it, and seeing that black bandage netherworld jade, his eyes glinted, and he cheerfully stowed it away. Which hero still dares to step up for the challenge? This is but a renowned, legendary star general, a rare opportunity. For those passing by, you must not miss this. Test your ability, we ensure your absolute happiness, one greater than those young ladies serving you. So long as you have precious gems or several 100 million in gold, come quickly, Huang Futiani shouted. He practically was a peddler. Shameless. He had seen shamelessness, but he had never seen shamelessness of this degree. To unexpectedly treat a star general as a means to make money perhaps was unprecedented. Wu Xinjie already was powerlessly ridiculing him. Although this man's methods were somewhat despicable, Su Xing could not help but admire that he was indeed bold. A man without a sense of shame was unparalleled under the heavens. With a legendary star general acting as the opponent, he certainly could attract many cultivators who wished to test their level. Furthermore, this place was the famous Buddha Kingdom Central Celestial. He did not fear that anyone would harbor evil intentions. For even Li Longkue to not be a foe, this little sister's background is not small. Wu Xinjie showed astonishment. Su Xing, quickly see who she is. Shi Yuan hastily said. This was the aspect the other sisters were curious about as well. Su Xing had long already secretly opened the birth treasure outline. Golden characters like water appeared. Star position, evil star name, Jiao Ting, 5, nickname, Faceless, 6, true name, Jiao Ruoshue rank, 98th star weapon, Heaven and Earth inverted boxing gloves, 7, 4 star, Star Beast, Wind past mountain, 8, realm, 10,000 technique 7th stage innate skill, 36 roads dragon capturing hand 5 elements, metal yellow rank special move, mountain break, 9, dark rank special move, Heaven and Earth inverted / dragon fist, 10, current status, contractor, Huang Futiani. Detailed materials. As expected, she is Faceless Jiao Ting. This was not outside of Wu Xinjie's expectations. To be able to defeat Black Whirlwind Li Kue with the rule of being unarmed, there was only this Faceless Jiao Ting of the innate skill 36 roads dragon capturing hand. Her boxing technique was not only excellent, it also used her flexible body technique. Without a weapon, she basically was a difficult opponent. To say nothing of the fact she was merely ranked 98, if she used something like a regulated fight in an arena, the ones among the 108 star maidens that could defeat her could be counted with fingers. Those passing by, do not miss this. To stand with a star general, that is once in 100 years. Huang Futiani completely had the appearance of a dishonest businessman. His attitude of opening a business and treating a star maiden as a commodity made Lin Yingmei and the other girls somewhat displeased. Conversely, seeing that evil star faceless Jiao Ting was nevertheless seemingly in meditation, wearing that expressionless mask, she actually had a sort of Buddhist appeal. She remained unconcerned at her master's shouting. This is really too hateful. Make elder sister Yan Qing go teach him a lesson. Shi Yuan resentfully said. Skillful star wanderer Yan Qing similarly was absolute in boxing technique, and she was one of the few star generals that could defeat Jiao Ting barehanded. Master, please call out. Yan Yizhen's fiery gaze looked at Su Xing, completely obeying his ideas. Will do. Su Xing did not hesitate. He also very much wanted to see the grappling of two unarmed star generals. Of course, that Victor's 7 stars dark sky sand was indeed a good thing. Does anyone else dare come up for the challenge? Huang Fu Tianyi called loudly. However, he had been here for many days, and the 3,000 Buddhist adepts more or less were done. Other than great cultivators like Chan masters incapable of swallowing their pride, she practically was without equal. Faceless Jiao Ruoxue very boredly sat on a chair. Then, she easily flipped out a book from her astral stone and leisurely read. 10 liang of 7 stars dark sky sand, something as good as this is very rare. Is there anyone else that dares? Comes the experience of trading blows with a legendary star general is more common than eating 10 empress was replenishing heavenly pills. Could it be no cultivators have sight? Huang Fu Tianyi laughed. Just as he said that, suddenly a figure appeared on the arena. The Yan Yizhen with an exposed back and maid dress, her face expressionless, stared with her vermilion eyes apathetically at faceless Jiao Ruoxue. The evil star's relaxation came to a sudden halt. Jiao Ruoxue put away that dialogue of the Buddha and Mahapataka Brahmaraja, 11, rose and emitted a heavy air. Could it be that this maid has come to challenge? Huang Fu Tianyi smiled. Yan Yizhen took out evil-suppressing gem bamboo, her answer very clear. Huang Fu Tianyi shamelessly glowed. Ruoxue, can you continue? Evil star Jiao Ruoxue grunted. Huang Fu Tianyi immediately stepped off the platform, leaving all of the space to them both. Everyone was silent. The faraway fireworks and the nearby conversation seemed to have all disappeared. Only the two girls' twin peaks stood opposite the others, motionless and silent. Sister Little E ought to have no problem, correct? And Suan said. Relax, although faceless Jiao Ting has inherited the 36 roads dragon capturing hand, skillful star wanderer Yan Qing absolutely does not have an undeserved reputation in grappling and boxing. Xiao did not think so, as if she understood Yan Yizhen more than they did. If she truly loses, Xiao shall help you take it back. Xiao then said. Lin Yingmei calmly said, no need. Xiao does not want to owe your master a favor. Xiao showed a considerable difficulty. Relax, Little E has never disappointed me. Su Xing thought the opposite. On the platform, Huang Fu Tianyi read the rules. The two adopted stances. Although in the star position rankings the skillful star held the advantage, in the star duels, this stage was full of variable. Some earthly star relied on a few lucky encounters or cultivated profound martial arts to contrarily surpass heavenly star. It was comparable to fair-skinned gentleman Zheng Yanran. Su Xing spoke calmly, yet he was unable to take his eyes off them. The air seemed to be ripped apart. Faceless Jiao Ting was the first to make a move. No sooner said than done, just like a shooting star or lightning strike, her hand made the sign of a dragon capture, and the 36 roads dragon capturing hand emerged. With a gale's biting cold, a ripping sound entered the ear. Nevertheless, Yan Yizhen was extremely indifferent. The corners of her skirt fluttered, and there was a crisp ring. Yan Yizhen's figure instantly disappeared from where she was, and when she reappeared, she was already above faceless Jiao Ruoxue. On her face still was an unbelievable indifference. Her palm chop was like a blade, soundlessly brushing towards Jiao Ruoxue's neck. Jiao Ruoxue's 36 roads dragon capturing hand counterattacked with extreme speed. Both her hands were clenched into claws, one claw unloading the power of Yan Yizhen's chop, and the other claw craftily grabbing at the maid, fast as lightning, without any chance to react. Yan Yizhen casually raised her head to evade. "Watch this poison dragon drill." Jiao Ruoxue suddenly straightened and rushed straight to Yan Yizhen's chest, both hands directly piercing towards Yan Yizhen's heart. However, a slender jade arm at some unknown time already was placed upon Jiao Ruoxue's path of attack. With a muffled thud, she surprisingly completely caught Jiao Ruoxue's attack, the flesh of her palm in that instant letting out a swelling noise. She had already collided with Jiao Ruoxue's attack. All of the pressure of the fist made Jiao Ruoxue incomparably surprised. Her pupils suddenly contracted. Jiao Ruoxue did not have the slightest bit of hesitation, directly half-somersaulting away. Her black figure suddenly drew apart the air, already appearing one zhang away. Her reactions were very proper, for just at the same time she flashed away, an extremely fierce oppressive power suddenly squeezed heavily on those surroundings. Fragments of earth sprayed in all directions as a line opened in the earth. The arena caved with a deep trench, the jolting strength making the spectators unable to help but retreat. Yan Yizhen's punch landed on nothing, a trace of amazement flashing through her vermilion eyes. Jiao Ruoxue's apathetic Buddhist mask seemingly was crammed full of an even greater battle intent. Her leg kicked, immediately rushing over. This time, Jiao Ruoxue did not hold back using her grappling techniques. One hand grasped Yan Yizhen's belt, the other her shoulder, but each time, she was easily thwarted by Yan Yizhen. Several dragon-capturing hands were unable to obtain success, making Jiao Ruoxue somewhat irritated. Dragon-trapping rising sky, too. Amidst a sneer, the evil star's figure suddenly revolted, indistinctly becoming a phantom. Her arm's tender skin bubbled like flowing water. The patterns of her minute blood vessels were distinctly visible on her skin. Her flesh that was exposed seemed to take on a bloody color, and these blood vessel markings seemed to come alive. The dragons that had been trapped now stirred on her hands, like flowing water, appearing extremely unfathomable. In that instant, both her hands seemed to transform into chains. Arm shadows filling the skies covered Yan Yizhen, the wind pressure brought by the attack pelting her. Before the strike arrived, the wind pressure actually gave rise to bonds that faintly had the function of trapping someone where they were. As if it was an iron dragon. Her short hair was lifted by this wind. Such a strong attack was instantly met, but Yan Yizhen's face still was apathetic. Her eyes even had a trace of mockery. Both of her hands grabbed, and a sudden change occurred. The skillful star's flexible body lightly flashed and spun an afterimage, instantly avoiding this impenetrable pressure. Then, one hand suddenly was placed upon Jiao Ruoxue's hand that was larger than a weapon. Immense power instantly transmitted, and Jiao Ruoxue was incomparably stunned. Suddenly, she found that the strength of her fists had been contained, ultimately coming to a complete stop in midair. Inconceivable. Gazing in astonishment, a pair of cold, vermilion pupils was already right in front of her. Silky hair was severed in the wind. Yan Yizhen's figure slightly lowered and then suddenly straightened, her palm chop stabbing like a blade. How laughable! Jiao Ruoxue was worthy of being the inheritor of the 36 Roads dragon-capturing hand. She had always been proud of close-range combat, and with one hand, she grabbed Yan Yizhen's chop, preparing to use all her power to pull Yan Yizhen into a counterattack. Yet what her hand grabbed was a clump of air. This speed is so fast. Jiao Ruoxue's pupils froze, and her heart filled with the premonition of danger, but it seemed that comparing the speed of this premonition to Yan Yizhen, the former was still slow by a step. Yan Yizhen's palm sliced into Jiao Ruoxue's chest. Faceless groaned, and blood flowed from beneath her mask. The evil star fell back, both her hands immediately launching an attack, prepared to grapple Yan Yizhen, but any way it was put, Yan Yizhen was much more experienced. The corners of her skirt opened, and the white boots that reached all the way to her thighs flashed before Jiao Ruoxue's eyes. The maid's left leg kicked, and her right leg was lifted up. The moment her leg bent, her arms crossed, and the transmission of the power of her fist came to a screeching halt. The attacking evil star evidently did not anticipate this, but even if she did anticipate this, she could not guard against the sweep of Yanizhan's left leg towards her face. Following that, her right leg also swept. This sequence of movements honestly was flowing like water, settling things in one go. She directly swept Jiao Ruoxue over. Ruoxue, Huangfu Tianyi's eyes suddenly flashed with an ominous glow. The Jiao Ruoxue sent flying New intuitively. One hand propped up against the ground, and with a flip, without any pause, she once again pounced at Yanizhan. Wind past mountain. 3. Suddenly, Jiao Ruoxue shouted. The 4-star heaven and earth inverted boxing gloves suddenly appeared in her hands. Both her hands assumed the power of the reversed dual modes of heaven and earth, inciting an impressive wind and thunder. The evil star flew into a rage of humiliation, taking the initiative to show her star weapon first. A shadow simultaneously pounced towards Yanizhan with an even swifter speed. The skillful star was unable to react. That shadow pounced before her, and it was a black spirit snake. Bearing its fangs, astonishingly, it was the evil star's star beast, Wind Past Mountain. Yanizhan immediately chopped with her hand, and Wind Past Mountain shattered into a black storm that wound around the maid. Heaven and earth inverted. Just at this moment, Jiao Ruoxue was already in front of her. Both hands were ready to grab Yanizhan, exerting explosive power, space twisting with the pressure. Huangfu Tianyi showed a near imperceptible joy. Suddenly, he felt killing intent approach him. Before Huangfu Tianyi's flying sword rose, the tip of a clean and penetrating cold weapon was already pressing against his throat. Do you want to die? I can help you with that. Su Xing coldly said. What is friend doing? Huangfu Tianyi broke into a cold sweat of fright when he saw Su Xing and the others. Friend? Were you not thinking of taking advantage of this to dispatch little Yi? Wu Xinjie giggled. The arena is where the battle is, open and candid. Huangfu Tianyi said. Quibble, then what's the matter with that star weapon? Shi Yuan said in contempt. Huangfu Tianyi forced a smile. The rules are to not use a weapon, but there are no rules against using gloves or a star beast. Shameless. Lin Yingmei cursed, her spear slightly trembling. At any time, she could cut open Huangfu Tianyi's windpipe. His cold sweat dripped endlessly. Ha, ha. Su Xing truly somewhat admired this man who could use a star general as a way to make money. Even at such a critical moment, he unexpectedly could still be so devoted. Truly, he did not want to live any longer. However, this was the Buddha Kingdom's Feast of All Souls. He perhaps also knew that Su Xing could not easily kill him. Men like him ought to be killed. Wu Xiao frowned. Your servants is a fair competition. If your majesty loses, instead of accepting defeat gracefully, you turn hostile? Huangfu Tianyi said. Release him. An ice-cold voice shouted. Jiao Ruoxue turned around and headed towards them to attack. Little sister, if you leave the platform, you will actually lose. Shower kindly reminded her. Jiao Ruoxue froze, actually stopping at the edge of the arena. I will give you an opportunity to quibble. Since you used a star weapon and star beast, our wager will grow a bit bigger. Su Xing proposed. How do you say? I have here several stalks of 100-year and 1000-year evil-suppressing gem bamboo. I'll bet against 100 liang of your 7 stars dark sky sand. 100 liang. I do not have this much. Huangfu Tianyi's expression changed. It won't do if you can't quibble the price. Su Xing's words were very gentle, but in Huangfu Tianyi's ears, they seemed to have a sort of ice cold that came from the heart, as if at any time, he could suffer a violent death. Is there any need to be this troublesome? Star duel, star fall, what could this Buddha kingdom do? Wu Xiao coldly snorted. Lin Yingmei's spear tip moved in coordination. Wait a moment, Huangfu Tianyi this time truly was frightened stiff. Damn it, Why would we encounter such a powerful star master here in the Buddha kingdom, he thought. Huang Futiani outwardly said, even if this turns into a star fall, this is the grand star duels, what does it matter if you use treacherous methods? Seeing Su Xing's appearance of impatience with his blabbing, Huang Futiani's face was somewhat pale. Young lord, it would be better to forget about it. Do not dirty Yingmei's hands. Then, everything you have won from the martial arts contests these past few days will be your bet. Wu Xinjie smiled and said. Huang Futiani's expression was even more unsightly. On the platform, Jiao Ruoxue was somewhat about to go berserk. Breaking the rules always needs to pay the price. Buddha wouldn't object either. To still spare your life, it's not bad, is it? You really will not kill me. Would I waste so much breath if I wanted to kill you? I agree to your terms. Huang Futiani grit his teeth and said. But it is still the rules of the arena. He could see this group of people was not too easy to provoke, as if they had come from some great sect. To prevent shameless bastards like this Huang Futiani from playing tricks, they first took out the astral bags. With his person under a blade, he had no choice but to follow through. Huang Futiani could only inwardly grind his teeth and entrust his hopes to Jiao Ruoxue. If it was the evil star, with a star beast and star weapon, with those rules of the martial arts arena, the star generals that could win against her were not many. Still, seeing those calm expressions of Su Xing and his group, Huang Futiani's heart was full of danger. Little Yi, can you continue? And Suan said. Yan Yizhen expressionlessly nodded. Humph, Dragon Fist. Jiao Ruoxue did not hesitate at all. Immediately, she turned around, the star beast wind past mountains acting as a hurricane that attempted to bind Yan Yizhen. Both of the evil star's fists became phantoms. Her entire person slammed towards Yan Yizhen like a dragon breaking out of its cage. The air seemed to be pierced through with an immense trail. A dragon hiss suddenly turned loud. If you wish to blame something, blame your young master for being too stupid. Jiao Ruoxue was already attacking, wind past mountains coordinating with its mistress pincer attack. The yin-yang Pisces fists appeared, the cold and warm lights alternating. In the flowing river of yin and yen, two carps appeared that swam around in between Yan Yizhen's palms. This is bad evil star Jiao Ruoxue's expression greatly changed. 5. The hurricane collapsed. Following Yan Yizhen's low shout, her shoulders stiffened, and countless fist shadows carrying a mad aura that overturned the seas. A ferocity through the middle of Jiao Ruoxue's head and face easily pierced through all of Jiao Ruoxue's defenses. Under a strike like a torrential rain, a low and muffled groan intermittently transmitted. Yan Yizhen's figure lowered. Suddenly, she scuttled to the front of Jiao Ruoxue. Faceless hastily was about to use 36 Road's dragon capturing hand, but Yan Yizhen's speed was even faster. She used her right hand to twist Jiao Ruoxue, and then she stuck her left hand into the fork of Jiao Ruoxue's legs. Using her shoulder blade as a fulcrum for Jiao Ruoxue's chest, she directly lifted the woman up, unbalancing herself. With all her strength, she spun to the edge of the platform and shouted. Go down. This was a pigeon spin. Setting Jiao Ruoxue head down, legs up, she directly flung the evil star off the edge. Huang Futiani's eyes suddenly were about to pop out from surprise. Skillful, star, wanderer, Yan Qing. This is so infuriating. Huang Futiani gnashed his teeth as he quickly escaped towards the eastern side of the central celestial. Face Jiao Ruoxue followed closely behind, that mask still indifferent in expression. However, the girl's body techniques were already not as vigorous as they were on that arena. From head to foot, she exuded a heaviness. Suddenly stopping, Huang Futiani waved his hand, and a dark yin fire thunder then immediately smashed the surrounding buildings to smithereens. Jiao Ruoxue's gaze was expressionless, as if she was not at ease. Truly infuriating. The more Huang Futiani thought about it, the more his heart was about to go mad. The materials he gathered by exploiting the Feast of All Souls to hold a martial arts contest had unexpectedly been taken as a dowry. This made the normally, shamelessness is glory, Huang Fu Tianyi felt a great humiliation. That man, only by absolutely destroying that man's asshole can this hate be quenched. We can still kill him right now. Jiao Ruoxue coolly said. Cough. Huang Fu Tianyi fake coughed, let it be for the time being. That man unexpectedly has the skillful star. For now, we still are not his opponent, and those women by his side are somewhat not simple. Jiao Ruoxue did not reply. However, from another perspective, using half of the materials to break away from a star duel was worth the price. Just now, his opponent completely could have killed him and taken his things, and no one would have cried foul. Arena regulations? What a joke, the rules of the star duels did not spare anything. However, we cannot forget this so easily. I would not be Huang Fu Tianyi if I were to run away like this with my tail between my legs. Huang Fu Tianyi rubbed his chin, muttering. He must have come for the sake of the senior monk's disciple selection. This actually is an opportunity. What do you feel, Ruoxue, care to make a bet? Huang Fu Tianyi turned his head. That Buddhist mask had an indescribable, imaginary solemnity. Jiao Ruoxue answered, so long as holds a plan to absolutely destroy everything, then bet. Absolutely destroy everything? Woo, Jiao Ruoxue really speaks so directly. Huang Fu Tianyi awkwardly laughed. Boundless Sun Ebony Essence, White Heavy Jade, 2, Su Xing looked at the things he obtained from Huang Fu Tianyi's astral bag. Each item was considerably valuable, and the Boundless Sun Ebony Essence and White Heavy Jade among them could be used to as upgrade materials for Yanizhen and the rest. This transaction was really worthwhile. Su Xing exclaimed. Although it was a bit shameless that this Huang Fu Tianyi would use a star general to make money, it was actually profitable for these things. To use this method to gather star weapon materials, he could be considered a character to not underestimate. Why did you not kill him just now? Since this is a star duel of star masters, those Buddha Kingdom cultivators would look on without lifting a finger. Xiao leisurely appreciated the flower lanterns of the temple fair, as she seemingly replied without a care. It doesn't make a difference. Su Xing shrugged. He had never viewed Huang Fu Tianyi as an opponent. While killing perhaps could be very beneficial, Su Xing had his own considerations. Just as Huang Fu Tianyi said, Su Xing's objective was for Buddha West Approach's disciple successorship. Killing him would contrarily leave a very bad reputation, and that Buddha West Approaches naturally would lose all hope. Too much self-confidence is certainly bad. Xiao smiled. Su Xing held the same feeling. After the brief episode of the arena ended, everyone passed through a monastery. Seeing the swirling incense, the rarely talkative Tang Lianxin proposed giving Su Xing an incense prayer. Her attentiveness actually made Su Xing somewhat touched. All of the girls were not surprised. Even more amazing to see was each of them praying with incense, pious and as they prayed. In that instant, the hall had an unprecedented serenity. Monks, cultivators, and people of all ages were stunned by this gorgeous and stunning scene. Those unaware would have thought that some dandy was out traveling. Shower did not burn incense. Seeing these little sisters so solemn, she also had a sort of impulse to join in. The girl restrained this urge, turned her head to Su Xing and smiled. You honestly are a lucky man, to be able to unexpectedly make the little sisters care for you so much. Just what sort of person are you? 3. Even Su Xing's heart grew very tender. Seeing Su Xing's soul was seemingly entangled, Shower mumbled herself, it is probably precisely because of this that they would be so. Leaving the shrine after praying, night had gradually deepened. The Ganges River of the Feast of All Souls released fireworks, and everyone detoured to a remote path. They directly ascended a hilltop to gaze at those distant 7-floor pagodas seemingly propping up the heavens. Amidst the gorgeous fireworks, the pagodas were illuminated in bright and dazzling colors. Right, just then, Yanqing's star beast was the yin-yang carp, correct? Shower suddenly recalled this matter. Su Xing did not hide anything. Shower's gaze showed an eager splendor. If it truly is this star beast, not only are the yin-yang carps very difficult to find, they are very difficult to capture. Shower never expected you unexpectedly would help the skillful star capture this sort of star beast. No wonder little E would fall in love with you. It seems you will be a dangerous foe. Shower smiled. Suddenly, the temperature all around wildly dropped, and a bone-chilling cold awe-inspiringly burst forth, freezing the surrounding flowers and grass. Shua! At practically the same time Shower's killing intent appeared. Wu Xiao, Lin Yingmei, Yan Yizhen, and the rest simultaneously assumed battle stances. It seemed they had been somewhat not too convinced by this seemingly carefree elder sister. Su Xing actually was his usual calm. You only feel that just now. You're somewhat slow. And you are no better. Since you know Shower's identity and even strolled through the Feast of All Souls with Shower, you are also very slow. Her killing intent subsided, and Shower giggled. Little sister Xiao, you have made Shower very hurt. When we first originally rescued Su Xing, you even hated him to the bone. Never expected that, Xiao, you would even truly treat Shower without the least bit of sentiment. Shower's words made Wu Xiao somewhat embarrassed. Wu Xiao's face was slightly red, and she feigned indifference. Your servant merely does what she should. Truly, Shower wonders where this man is good. Shower very much powerlessly grabbed her hair. If you further insult young master, then we will make a move. Lin Yingmei's tone sunk, the Arctic star serpent's spear shuddered along with its master's feelings, freezing the grass and wood. Shower, what do you think? Su Xing asked. Rest assured, if Shower truly wished to kill you, then Shower would long have already made her move when you and majestic star Lin Chong originally signed your contract. Shower put both hands behind her back, carefreely speaking. After all, to be able to make the Lin Chong sign her first contract in 1,000 years, such a star master is the most dangerous thing wherever he appears. Su Xing nodded, very much in agreement with her words. Little E, fight about with Shower. Suddenly, Shower calmly extended a finger at skillful star Yan Yizhen, faintly saying, just use the same rules as the platform just now, however, you had best use the yin-yang carps. Everyone was taken aback. Yan Yizhen's expression was somewhat confused. But she was not given any leeway, for Shower had disappeared from where she was. And a clenched fist was already before her eyes. If you lose, Shower will honestly consider becoming enemies with you. A star crest flickered on Shower's white and pure forehead, her hair parting along the center. Yan Yizhen did not hesitate, sending forth 2 punches. Fleeting speed. Shower already punched from the right. Bringing a severe wind as she struck downwards, she went straight for Yan Yizhen's face. This strike was like a thunderclap, fast as lightning. Yan Yizhen's arms blocked, but just at this moment, the corner of Shower's mouth smiled. She unimaginably instantly changed her attack tempo, sweeping with her left leg. This attack that was practically beyond the imagination of an ordinary person instantly made Yan Yizhen slightly surprised. Instantly blocking and retreating, just as Yan Yizhen was about to make the next follow-up boxing technique, suddenly, she instinctively sensed danger. Wrong. Yan Yizhen's hands parted, as if she was ripping apart a ball of air. Shower's boxing technique was more exquisite than she imagined, immediately changing her attack path in a fleeting instant. Furthermore, this was a double fist strike that boomed towards Yan Yizhen's stomach. Following a backwards flip, her right leg then directly kicked the maid's chin. Bang! There was a muffled sound. Yan Yizhen instinctively avoided this move, both her palms grasped and bore the impact of this kick. The strength was strong enough to make the skillful star's hands go numb and push her back several steps. If this sort of force had kicked her frail chin, that would be certainly somewhat difficult. Swallow flash samsara. The maid's skirt swayed. An indistinct shadow flew out, and the maid already stuck close to Shower's side. Afterwards, there was a downpour-like beating. Their exchange of blows was no more than in the blink of an eye. They boxed back and forth, after images emerging. Lin Yingmei and the rest directed inquisitive gazes at Su Xing. Su Xing shook his head, and they understood. Although they did not go cheer, they did not dare be careless, staying guard about the surroundings as they monitored each and every one of Shower's movements. Shower was suppressed by Yan Yizhen's swallow flash samsara, with only the power to ward off blows. Interesting. Shower suddenly exclaimed. A golden light glinted out of nowhere, forcing back Yan Yizhen. Shower exhaled. Yan Yizhen's yin-yang Pisces fists was but a 3-star destined weapon. Shower was bare-handed and still she was somewhat difficult, but the girl was not dismayed, even showing an eager expression of excitement. With the yin-yang carps, little E, you ought to have the strongest realm out of all of us star generals. Do not make Shower disappointed. Yan Yizhen's fists waved, and the yin-yang Pisces gloves disappeared. Seeing that Shower did not have any hostility, the skillful star did not wish to take advantage on a star weapon. An intimidating aura burned like fire. This elder sister is so incredible. And Suan was shocked. In the efficacious star's eyes, for Shower to not use a star weapon and unexpectedly be able to fight evenly with Yan Yizhen, although she was at a slight disadvantage, it was not seemingly so difficult. She is not the strongest of the martial force star generals among the 108 star maidens for no reason. Wu Xinjie thoughtfully smiled. Her star beast mounted combat is absolute, and even if she unarmed without star weapon, to speak of it, she is still a master to the skillful star. Who is she? Gong Sun Huang asked. All of the girls were shocked by the little lowly's innocent question. Little Huang, do you not know? N. Gong Sun Huang shook her head. She sat on Su Xing's shoulder as always. She did not hear Wu Xiao and the others speak of Shower's identity. However, the extraordinarily outstanding as an immortal leisure star had always never minded the sisters. Young lord. Wu Xinjie looked at Su Xing. Just as Su Xing could see, he turned his head and said, she indeed is very powerful. Shall we hook her in? A good idea. Wu Xinjie was extremely approving. She is? Gong Sun Huang blinked. Strength star Jade Qilin Lu Junyi, Su Xing replied. Thinking back then, the strength star Lu Xiao was the first star general they encountered that was not a foe. This was precisely why her impression made Su Xing somewhat doubtful of the so-called life and death in the star duels. Shower as a person actually was very much to Su Xing's liking. Considering that she someday would be recognized as a powerful foe, Su Xing pondered whether or not to turn the strength star Jade Qilin into his 8th star general. Hawk rearing pagoda, a pan of 9 golden lotus tea. A picturesque woman currently leaned against the windowsill, appreciating the resplendent fireworks in the night sky outside. Around her were 2 more girls, one in white clothing and armor, seemingly like ice, completely without emotion, and the other wore crimson armor. She faced the fireworks, yawning without the slightest bit of interest at Buddha Kingdom. She played with her braids. Legend says that the very year Buddha cut his flesh to feed a hawk, he instantly became Buddha. People say this was a measureless achievement. I say it's silliness, just silliness. In silence, a woman descended from the sky, floating like a feather as she dropped down. The 2 women in white and red assumed battle stances at first. When they saw who approached, they then stowed their weapons. Strength star Lu Xiao, to say this sort of thing in the Buddha Kingdom, you are immensely blaspheming Buddha. Qingxi turned her head, smiling. If anyone feels Shower has blasphemed Buddha, then clearly his cultivation is too shallow. Have you not heard that someone spat on a statue of Buddha and was unharmed? Shower leisurely poured herself a full cup of tea. Just you 2 little sisters. Shower sipped her tea. Jean Dajian says she will upgrade Qin Mingyue to a 4-star destined weapon. Wang Jingji has gone to browse the Feast of All Souls as well as to scout for information on that holy monk, and elder sister Li Longkue has gone together with her. Little Marquis of Wen Lu Fang replied. Qingxi, you would not actually have interest in that holy monk's bowl and whatever, right? Xiao thought this was amusing. Qingxi wrinkled her brow, showing slight distress. Your servant has already met with the heavenly solitary star. Oh. How was it? Could it be she requires Xiao's persuasion as well? Qingxi smiled bitterly. If this was so, that would have been convenient. The solitary star is definitely not participating in these star duels. To persuade her is already an absolute impossibility. What? Why would she not participate in the star duels? Xiao was greatly surprised. Although the star duels was voluntary for the 108 sisters, regardless, scaling Maiden Mountain to understand their identities was but an extremely attractive thing. It was very difficult for a star general to remain aloof. That could be said of some of the sisters weak in martial force or magic energy, but how would any one of star general first-rate in martial force end their lives aloof, let alone mentioning solitary star flowery monk Lu Zhishan? In Xiao's innate memories, Lu Zhishan was a rarely seen Buddhist cultivating star general. Possessing the two superb innate skills of meditative mind and monster strength, too, the solitary star was certainly a frequent attendee of the past 7 stars assemblies. For such a powerful figure to unexpectedly place herself outside of the star duels, Xiao was caught unprepared. Qingxi was without a choice. She is extremely dedicated to comprehending the Buddhist mind, as if she recognizes if she can comprehend her meditative mind innate skill, she can truly understand where the meaning of our star duels is. Was there something like this? Xiao was very astonished. Perhaps. Qingxi nodded. Although missing the solitary star is somewhat a pity, she has gone to contend for the holy monk's dharma, robe and bowl. Perhaps she truly can comprehend that meditative mind, and someday in the 5th phase, there finally will be some results. Saying so, you are giving up on her. Truly what a pity. Originally, Xiao had even wanted to return you the favor. Xiao twitched her lips. Someday, your servant will trouble little sister for something even more important. Qing'er's gaze was dim. As you wish. The changes of the 9th generation star duels truly are unending. Xiao sighed. The solitary star has set down her staff to comprehend the meditative mind. Qingxi, you even could assemble so many star generals. Even stranger is that the majestic star Lin Chong and harm star Wu Song, who have never signed contracts in 1,000 years, have unexpectedly fallen in love with a man. Xiao is one person alone, which is actually somewhat sad. Little sisters majestic star and harm star have fallen in love? Qingxi, Guo Shui and Lu Fang were shocked. Unimaginable, right? Xiao did not expect this either. Recalling the Wu Song originally at Jinyang Ridge, recalling the past, Xiao could not help but sigh that time had slipped away. This little sister, her unfaithfulness was faster than flipping over a book. That man actually indeed stands out from the rest of the other star masters, and even Xiao is somewhat moved. Xiao heedlessly drank tea, still smiling. To speak of it, he seems able to assemble, just like you, Qingxi. What? Was there something like this? Help star Guo Shui and aid star Lu Fang cried out. Even for the still as water Qingxi, her clear as water pupils rippled. Is this true? Qingxi asked. Absolutely true. Could it be said that Maiden Mountain knows elder sister can assemble and has specifically sent him to thwart elder sister? Lu Fang's guess was the same as Qingxi's. Even Xiao felt this was possible. He is in the Central Celestial, and he is also going to the Succession or whatever. Qingxi, how about it, do you wish to engage in a life and death star duel with him? Xiao asked. For the sake of friendship, Xiao actually can help you. Lu Xiao, what do you feel the odds of success are? Qingxi asked. Complete lack of success. Xiao was honest. The ranked 3rd Knowledge Star Resourceful Star Wu Yong, the ranked 4th Leisure Star Dragon in the Clouds Gongsun Sheng, the 6th ranked Majestic Star Panther Head Lin Chong, the ranked 14th Harm Star Pilgrim Wu Song, the ranked 36th Skillful Star Wanderer Yan Qing, with the efficacious Star Divine Physician and others. This battle formation could be said to be unprecedented since ancient times, with none to come after. Shower was unable to bear it. Although Qingxi's side had powerful martial generals like Killer Star Black Whirlwind Li Kuei and the 5 Tiger General Fiery Thunderbolt Qin Ming, in comparison, they were very lacking. It is him. Lu Fang and Guo Shui practically said at the same time. The two girls stared. It seems we will have to add on that he is a star general capable of defeating little sister earthly stars, which is even more thorny. Shower shrugged her shoulders. Elder sister Qingxi, let your servant go kill him right now. Having been defeated by Su Xing's hand, this was Lu Fang's extraordinary shame and humiliation. Little Marquis of Wen immediately thought of revenge. You may not. Qingxi's expression was stern, instantly changing from her previous elegance. For the time being, do not come into conflict with him. Silently observe him. The top priority is only to let Jin Qiongyu quickly upgrade the star weapons. When Qingxi had seen Su Xing originally, she had thought he had only contracted 2 stars. After hearing Shower's words, her heart was truly shaken to the extreme. Humph. Lu Fang disdainfully sat down, somewhat unresigned. Let alone for that man to be so gentle, when he truly goes for the kill, he absolutely will not be lenient. Even if against a beauty like Qingxi, Shower sees he would not hold any protective feelings towards you. Truly too inconceivable, could he truly be sent by Maiden Mountain? Qingxi wrinkled her brow. This problem was one that no one could solve. A moment later, Wang Jingji and Li Longkue returned to the pagoda. The Black Whirlwind's expression appeared very gloomy. From Shower, they realized she had lost to Faceless on the arena. Qingxi again cautioned them regarding Su Xing, and Wang Jingji and Li Longkue were dumbstruck after listening. But Li Longkue's originally demonic eyes were even more evil. It seemed she truly treated Su Xing as someone Maiden Mountain had assigned to face Qingxi. Wang Jingji at this moment mentioned information pertaining to the holy monk's disciple. Knowing that the Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors would personally go to the holy monk's successorship selection, Qingxi also thoughtfully had the idea to participate to help Lu Zhishan obtain the holy monk's Chan technique. Sister Qingxi, Jingji feels that Su Xing this time will also go seek the holy monk's Chan technique. Perhaps he also has come to contract Lu Zhishan. Were the previous Lin Chong, Wu Song, and her not on good terms? Wang Jingji's kidding made all of women shocked. If they carefully thought, each of Su Xing's star generals were lofty in one aspect. Even if he truly contracted Lu Zhishan, which was not impossible, at the current phase, to give rise to a new star master already was not too possible. Things like Qingxi's uprising actually were extremely convenient. No, impossible. The heavenly solitary star is dedicated to Buddhism's meditative mind, placing herself outside the star duels. Your servant has not seen wrongly. It is impossible for him to contract the heavenly solitary star. Qingxi was confident. Do not be too self-confident. When he originally cooperated with Wu Xiao, Shower thought it would have been merely a delusion. Shower sighed. These words made Qingxi speechless. Lin Yingmei and Wu Xiao had never signed contracts in 1,000 years, and now that the Harm Star had practically signed a contract, any way it was put, this heavenly solitary star was even more simple than these 2,000-year star generals. Qingxi suddenly did not know whether to laugh or cry. He will not be able to contract the heavenly solitary star, and if he actually does? If he actually can contract the heavenly solitary star, then your servant, Qingxi was tongue-tied. She raised her head to gaze at the starry skies, the gorgeous fireworks like shooting stars. As if suspended past the dazzling flames, there were 100 silent star general crimson stars. Exceedingly silent. Qingxi's eyes were tranquil yet somewhat frustrated. Then your servant shall. A firework-shaped shala flower bloomed in the night sky, finally scattering to dust in the horizon and falling to the ground, sprinkling down a motley Buddhist light. The first climax of the Feast of All Souls, Buddha's teachings shine gloriously. 3. Thousands of purple and red fireworks practically crammed the world as far as the eye could see, meditative light was all over, the scent of metal bewitching. The river lanterns on the winding Ganges River linked into one, like countless stars leisurely flowing away. Each river lantern appeared exceptionally dazzling under the night's river. As far as the eye could see, there were lanterns of all colors, boundless. This was the Feast of All Souls, borderless abyss of suffering. In the empty space, someone was propagating Dharma, the Brahmanistic chants lingering, clean and refined. This voice as soft as the ninth firmament was slowly washing away the filth of the heart. There was the Feast of All Souls' last climax, Flower Sutra General Assembly. 5. Buddha's teachings shine gloriously, borderless abyss of suffering, and the Flowers Sutra General Assembly, were the three symbolic activities of the Feast of All Souls. Su Xing's group could not help but be startled at this scene. There was an abundance of a sort of urge to prostrate in worship. Just as they immersed the Feast of All Souls, a dark shadow suddenly came flying towards Su Xing's vicinity at high speed from the sky. This speed was extremely fast, instantly reaching above Su Xing. Everyone reacted, staring at this newcomer. This person wore a large red kasaya, simple without losing elegance. He wore a golden rosary, the shape of the jewels exceptionally pretty, but his brow had an abnormal charm. What made Su Xing surprised was that this unimaginably handsome man was suspended in the air. His cultivation clearly was supervoid stage. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness of the Happiness Chan. A name immediately hopped into Su Xing's ocean of consciousness. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness swept his eyes over Lin Yingmei and the other girls, the evil light in his eyes extremely ardent, fleeting, before he again recovered that dignified appearance. If they were ordinary women, perhaps they would already have been bewitched into captivation by Senior Monk Extreme Happiness, but Lin Yingmei, Wu Xiao, and the other girls were superb star generals that naturally disdained the presence Senior Monk Extreme Happiness naturally carried himself with. A moment later, several more monks of the Happiness Together courtyard flew over on staffs and alms bowls. Senior Monk, that is him. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness nodded. He slightly smiled, a smile that could bewitch all living things. Benefactor has good fortune. Poor monk wishes to receive benefactor as a disciple, is benefactor willing? Hearing this Senior Monk Extreme Happiness words, Su Xing broke into laughter. As it turned out, he thought that Su Xing could be lured with just a few random words. Supervoid stage cultivation perhaps could be insufferably arrogant in someone else's eyes, but he had contended against top-notch cultivators the likes of even Emperor Liang. How would he care about this supervoid early-stage cultivator's threats? Unwilling. Su Xing bluntly gave his reply. Benefactor is using some sort of dual cultivation art, but it seems progress has already reached a bottleneck. If Benefactor has the Happiness Chan technique that poor monk imparts, it definitely can allow Benefactor to have double the results with half the effort. Even in the star duels, it will be greatly beneficial. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness was not angry. Seeing him floating in the air, his steps delicate, a gold and red Buddhist aura rushing, he wished to create an intimidating air to overawe Su Xing, but how could Senior Monk Extreme Happiness know that Su Xing was considered Liangshan continent's #1 abnormal cultivator? Although his cultivation was only galaxy late stage, the magic weapons and powers he possessed had nevertheless killed supercluster ancestral masters into endless complaint. No interest at all. Su Xing still maintained these 4 words. Your servant is a party member, an atheist, sorry. Party member, what was that? Senior Monk Extreme Happiness was puzzled. Seeing that Su Xing was somewhat stubborn, Senior Monk Extreme Happiness' expression began to sour. His imposing aura flourished, and the world seemed to freeze. The star energy of supervoid stage cultivators already reached a stage where the whole body's star energy became a void, containing heaven and earth, a realm that used heaven and earth. This realm absolutely was just not a difference in realms compared to supercluster stage. It was completely the difference between night and day. Suddenly facing a supercluster cultivator's pressure, like 10 giant mountains pressing against Su Xing's shoulders, the heaviness wanted to make him yield. Su Xing's expression was sharp, his whole body taut, unwilling to concede. At this moment, killing intent came from everywhere. Lin Yingmei and the others had already showed their killing intent. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness wrinkled his brow and retracted his pressure. He actually did not fear the imposing air of Lin Yingmei and the rest. Although he knew that they were star generals, he did not place them in his eyes, but now with Senior Monk Four Noble Truths selecting a successor for his robe and bowl, Senior Monk Extreme Happiness did not wish to give rise to side issues. It seems Senior Monk and Benefactor do not have a connection. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness clapped his hands together. This monk truly was fucking handsome, his smile more bewitching than a woman's. Which made Su Xing for the first time feel that the person's inherent handsomeness had reached an extreme that made him feel it was disgusting. Since Benefactor does not wish to accept poor monk's compassion, poor monk also wished to seek Benefactor out to invoke good karma. What karma is there? Su Xing countered. Senior Monk hears that Benefactor has the Phoenix Saliva perfume. This Phoenix Saliva perfume originally was an item sent from the western regions to the Happiness Together courtyard. Unexpected changes arose along the way, and it has been taken by Benefactor. The Phoenix Saliva perfume originally was an item for the Happiness Chan. Poor monk asks Benefactor to complete it, and the Happiness Together courtyard will endlessly give thanks. Poor monk can impart the Happiness Chan Sutra as a means of thanks. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness wore a slight smile. Rather than say he wanted to invoke good karma, it would be better to say that he wanted to make Su Xing give in. Su Xing knew this was Senior Monk Extreme Happiness' true objective. The so-called disciple talk just now was merely an ulterior motive. Hearing that he wanted to impart the Happiness Chan, Su Xing actually was somewhat interested. As his counterpart said, his previous dual cultivation indeed had entered a bottleneck, with progress already scant. However, this Happiness Chan of the Happiness Together courtyard was crooked, and Su Xing immediately dismissed this idea. Your servant certainly has never given up to destiny. Su Xing declined, neither pushy nor humble. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness' smile suddenly stiffened into being somewhat unsightly. In his view, he was but one of the Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors, a senior monk, receiving the respect of all people. To be able to make him personally show his face already was a great honor. He should have been bowing. This man unexpectedly dared to refuse him. Endlessly gloomy, the disciple beside him approached and whispered. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness coldly said, Benefactor must think clearly then reply. Poor monk certainly remembers the honey ripple temple of the Shala tree. Your servant has offended you. Su Xing did not fake his expression. Your servant has offended you. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness suddenly sneered and repeated Su Xing's words. Following that, 5 lotus petals of gold and red bubbled forth in the void, an odd scent wafting and covering hundreds of meters of sky. The multicolored lotus petals released light, as if coming from a painting, sketching the outlines of Su Xing's beauties. Su Xing surreptitiously gathered Purple Cloud True Star, preparing to take action. Suddenly, green light flashed, and like a slicing blade, it directly broke apart the gold and red lotus light. Gongsun Huang pointed and released several star magics. Suddenly, a dragon roar violently rolled forth, directly pressuring the approaching scarlet and gold lotus flowered. The expression of Senior Monk Extreme Happiness changed. A chilly killing intent came from the side. Lin Yingmei, Wu Xiao, and Yan Yizhen simultaneously moved, out of nowhere, with Lin Yingmei using Senior Monk Extreme Happiness as the center. Her spear was like a tide, a fierce dragon rolling wind. Her body floated, speedily stabbing with her spear in an attack. Wu Xiao's double-ended sword was extremely absolute, pincer attacking from the left and right, still grinding the Chan light to pieces. Yan Yizhen's body techniques were swift and variable, suddenly close and suddenly far, one of the yin-yang fists like raging flames and the other just like a cloud-piercing ice. Star energy flowed in between, the Chan light completely unable to hinder her. The three of them were first-rate star generals, naturally regarding senior monk extreme happiness gold lotus ability as nothing. Just the imposing air overflowed the heavens. At the same time Gong Sun Huang unleashed star magic, Su Xing also got instant results, purple mansion immortal thunder transforming into purple lotuses that attacked simultaneously. The faces of the happiness together courtyard's monks changed. Even senior monk extreme happiness was instantly pale in the face. He had never expected the opponent's aggression to be fierce to practically unprecedented heights. However, he was a Buddha Kingdom 6 ancestor after all, a supervoid cultivator. Senior monk extreme happiness put his hands together, and incorporeal star energy pressed in all directions. That large red Kasaya suddenly billowed, transforming into a barrier that wrapped around himself. Their attacks were completely accepted. The fireworks boomed in the sky. Go! Senior monk extreme happiness pointed. The golden prayer beads exploded, scattering in all directions to attack. Each of these Buddhist beads was concentrated with the hollow supervoid star energy. Striking the star weapons with a series of bangs, even Lin Yingmei's 3-star destined weapon was at a disadvantage. Lin Yingmei's spear rolled, the spear tip releasing ice and snow. Shooting over with a whoosh. Senior monk extreme happiness Buddhist aura seemed to freeze. He waved a palm, directly slamming into Lin Yingmei's spear. Senior monk extreme happiness again waved several palms in succession. The powerful supervoid stage cultivation was comparable to the Star General's extreme realm. His reactions were exceedingly quick, the Buddhist palms simultaneously contending against the three's attacks. But on the other hand, Su Xing's purple mansion immortal thunder lotus flower had already floated down. The lotus flowers bloomed, and purple cloud exploded, giving rise to an enormous might. It was more brilliant than those fireworks. Senior monk extreme happiness fully used his powers. A Buddhist aura protected his body, and he operated the happiness Chan light to entangle Lin Yingmei and the others. However, Star General's close quarters assault was Liangshan continent's famous terror. Senior monk extreme happiness gradually felt pressured, his strength not as powerful as he had hoped. Let alone Su Xing's side had several girls that still remained motionless, senior monk extreme happiness showed a pale expression for the first time. Suddenly, the Buddhist aura completely faded. The Kasaya opened, and senior monk extreme happiness already appeared high in the sky. His expression was no longer calm as it was a moment ago. His expression was full of a deep fear. It seems benefactor indeed does not have a connection with poor monk. Senior monk extreme happiness did not wish to provoke an incident, leading his disciple away and escaping swiftly. Su Xing did not feel like pursuing. What a pity, not to be able to seize the opportunity to take his 3 existence mark. Wu Xinjie did not forget this matter, and she uttered her regret. Forget it. Su Xing did not hope he could take an advantage over one of Liangshan continent's peak cultivators. Repelling him already was considered pretty good. Is this monk's happiness Chan art of use to you, Su Xing? Do you want this young lady to help you steal it? Sure Yuan giggled. Lin Yingmei's face turned red, and she sternly said, there is no need to set your heart on this. Su Xing nodded, precisely. The happiness Chan doesn't appear to be any good of a dharma. Looking at the surroundings, the climax of the Feast of All Souls had already reached its conclusion. These Feast of All Souls festivities are just about finished. Let's go back first and prepare for Buddha West approaches thing. Alright. The next day. Su Xing opened his eyes from a deep sleep. The view that greeted him was Lin Yingmei laying beside him, her delicate body completely naked, sparkling and beautiful, like those perfect pieces of beautiful jade, made by heaven itself. The majestic star's sleeping posture was very beautiful, her long eyelashes trembling in the morning breeze. A strand of hair lay across her supple and glossy lips, making Su Xing unable to help but recall the first sucking of these extremely beautiful lips. 2. Who would have thought that the majestic star Lin Yingmei flourishing with heroism could be gentle in this aspect? Young lord, you are so biased. Wu Xinjie whispered into his ear, her gentle body sticking to Su Xing's. Blood filled his yang fire, and Su Xing smiled at her. As it so happened, Lin Yingmei half opened her eyes. Spotting the pair currently staring, her complexion immediately blushed. She pulled the bedsheets up, a powerless cute appearance, which made Su Xing's member greatly move. He wished he could do each of them one by one first thing in the morning, however, considering that last night was a bit too fierce, add on that Wu Xiao and the others were present, Su Xing had to bear with the appearance of a lord of evil. Want to find a new dual cultivation art? Su Xing said. Although he did not favor senior monk extreme happiness, what he said was actually very correct. Their dual cultivation had entered a bottleneck and always was somewhat lacking. Your servant has no need. Lin Yingmei earnestly said. N. The morning radiance was charming, lighting up the Buddha kingdom. The surrounding polo trees shook in the wind. Su Xing walked outside the room and drew in a deep breath. The place they currently lived was a famous temple and guest house of the Central Celestial, large enough to be a courtyard. At this moment, the people outside clearly had grown in number. Su Xing knew this ought to be completely due to Senior Monk Four Noble Truths disciple successorship. This today was certainly a matter more magnificent than the Feast of All Souls. Wu Xiao at this time walked out from the neighboring room. Seeing Su Xing, her expression was not at all natural. Lin Yingmei and Wu Xinjie also walked out. Their gazes met, and then they were somewhat awkward. Although she knew that Su Xing was having sex every day for some time now, every time she faced her sisters, she was not too accustomed to this. Ai, elder sister Suan, can't you concoct something like that yin-yang lovemaking powder? Shi Yuan envied from nearby. And Suan was stunned by the thief star's audacious request. Elder sister Xinjie and elder sister Yingmei hog Su Xing so much, were certain to fall behind. Shi Yuan was very direct. And Suan perspired. She looked at the others and saw that Yan Yizhen was apathetic, Gong Sun Huang blinked innocently, and that Tang Lianxin was expressionless and even more silent than could be said. Faced with Shi Yuan's question, she mumbled a few words. Finally, that robe and bowl succession is beginning. Shi Yuan walked over and said. If only it could be of some help to master. Yan Yizhen calmly said. Do you wish to have this one help open the meditative mind lotus flower? Just at this moment, a cold voice came over. Lifting their heads, they spotted that a mighty woman had appeared in the sky. Chao Gai coldly smiled. Are you playing with me? Su Xing unhappily said. Chao Gai had the nerve to ask him to help bloom his meditative mind lotus seed. If it was not for this originator of evil conferring to him this calamity meditative mind lotus seed planted inside his ocean of consciousness, how could Su Xing have so much trouble right now? In response to her conferment, they came to this Buddha kingdom, with things beyond their capabilities. Last month, the very latest was a huge letdown. This one did not guess wrongly. You are preparing to listen to Holy Monk's Chan technique to blossom the meditative mind lotus flower. Chao Gai calmly said. However, do you have any certainty? Even if the meditative mind lotus seed had Buddhism's supreme cultivator, it would not necessarily bloom to present to Buddha. Do you feel Senior Monk's Dharma will be of any help to you? Wu Xinjie thoughtfully said, Chao Gai, this holy monk said he wanted to pass on his robe and bowl. Is this your doing? Xinjie feels it is odd. It is awfully coincidental that there would be such a good thing. Chao Gai did not answer. Just what do you think you are doing? Wu Xiao questioned. It was this one that planted the meditative mind. This one merely is informing you along the way. Chao Gai smiled. Speak. Su Xing declined to comment. Although he could not clearly understand what this 1000 Buddha star Chao Gai had up her sleeve, he also wanted to know what her plan was in the end. If she actually could bloom the meditative mind lotus seed, that would be even better. Su Xing indeed was given an extremely vexing headache by this Buddhist holy object. Buddha West Approaches has a Buddhist secret treasure, 5 dragons colored glass lamp. This lamp is capable of releasing endless amounts of light. So long as you sit in meditation under the lamp, thou can then make the meditative mind lotus seed blossom. Chao Gai answered. What? There was surprisingly something like this? Su Xing and the girls looked at each other in dismay. They came to the Buddha kingdom and gathered lots of information, but they nevertheless had never known about the matter of the 5 dragons colored glass lamp, let alone that he could bloom the seed under lamp. Are you for real? Su Xing was very doubtful that Chao Gai would deliberately say this, but thinking about it, this pagoda-shifting heavenly king did not necessarily want to deceive him, correct? The 5 dragons colored glass lamp has been refined at a 7-floor pagoda. The Dharma without bounds can fill all of the world, and only those of the Buddha kingdom's 6 ancestors and the like are capable of understanding it. The information you gathered is merely superficial. How could you have known? Chao Gai smiled. What do you think you're doing informing us of these? Su Xing vigilantly asked. Chao Gai's manner was very played down. It was this one that sowed the seed. What harm is there in informing you? If you want me to thank you, then don't dream of it. Su Xing twitched his lips, unconvinced. Chao Gai showed a profound smile. That smile seemed to say that the person that should be thankful should be him. Since this one has informed you, naturally there will be another purpose. Under the 5 dragons' light, this one will certainly confer unto you the 3rd calamity. You will accept it? Fuck. Su Xing's profanity had hardly been uttered when the words were rammed back down his throat by an invisible gravity. Rather than say it was Chao Gai's kindly proposal, it would be better to say it was her tyranny. Chao Gai, do not be unbridled. Hearing that Chao Gai unexpectedly was prepared to conveniently confer Su Xing with the 3rd calamity, the beauties all reacted. The 2nd calamity already made them scared witless for so long. Before the 2nd calamity had even ended, now came a 3rd calamity. This simply was somewhat too overbearing. Freezing frost of 9 provinces, Lin Yingmei straddled the snow-walking frost-eye beast, her spear's chilliness penetrating. A portion of the courtyard froze over. With the snow-walking frost-eye beast, the Arctic star serpent spear's killing intent attacked Chao Gai like a frozen river. Blood-splashing married couple, too, Wu Xiao's dark rank technique was used without any hesitation. Wherever the noble frost demonic lotus passed, bloody lotus flowers successively bloom. The double-ended sword Qi wound about like a duck's neck, sealing shut Chao Gai's movements. Swallow flash samsara, Yanizhan shouted. Su Xing's 3 martial generals instantly acted. But, all of their attacks merely died out in an instant. Their execution was sudden, but their termination was even more abrupt. The heaven-earth dark yellow 1000 pagoda appeared, its Buddhist aura everywhere. The legs of Lin Yingmei, Wu Xiao, and Yanizhan looked as if they were stuck in mud, hardly able to move an inch. Invisible shackles made their hands and feet unable to move in the slightest. Not good. Su Xing inwardly shouted, his body also similarly having sunk into a paralyzed state. He was unable to use any of his strength, and he could only watch Chao Gai approach him. You truly are impetuous little sisters. 1000 Buddha star Chao Gai indifferently said. Chao Gai's each and every step was delicate. In the blink of an eye, she was in front of Su Xing. If it wasn't for me being unable to defeat you, I absolutely would spank your butt a lesson. Su Xing gnashed his teeth while at the same time squeezing out some words from under Chao Gai's powerful pressure. Chao Gai, for a moment, she uttered no words. The 1000 star faintly smiled, you truly do love to flaunt that tongue. Teach this one a lesson, this one will naturally wait respectfully for you at Maiden Mountain. I will pay you a visit. Thou need not thank this one. Chao Gai shook her head. Su Xing's eyes truly wished to turn her to scattered bone and ash. Paying no attention to this, Chao Gai's finger poked Su Xing's forehead. 3. Immediately, an indescribable electric current erupted in his brain, painting Su Xing into a grimace. The Diamond Sutra says, all things contrived are like dreams, illusions, bubbles, shadows, like dewdrops, like lightning, and they should be regarded as such. Chao Gai chanted. When she finished, time resumed its flow. Chao Gai. Wu Xiao and Lin Yingmei were enraged. Chao Gai turned around. Like illusion, like shadow, she passed by their attacks. This third calamity is named, dream, illusion, bubble, shadow. 5. If thou should be able to use the 5 dragons colored glass lamp, at that time, you will know the severity. Thou must properly look after thyself. This one shall wait and see. Thousand Buddha Star Pagoda shifting Heavenly King Chao Gai thus was like a reflection in water, indistinct, as she vanished before everyone's eyes, leaving behind only a seemingly amused admonition. Young Lord. The other girls ran over anxiously. I'm okay. Su Xing rubbed his forehead. That Chao Gai truly is loathsome. Shi Yuan was very depressed. This makes things hard for Su Xing. Chao Gai said lighting this 5 dragons colored glass lamp is when this third calamity will appear. Could it be you truly want to? Wu Xiao was deeply worried. The second calamity and the third calamity together was rather too difficult, let alone that it was unknown how much they could trust this 1000 Buddha Star's words. Xinjie, what do you think? Lin Yingmei saw that Wu Xinjie frowned in contemplation, and she thought that the knowledge star had thought of something. Wu Xinjie said, Xinjie feels that Chao Gai has the intention to help young lord. Hey, elder sister, you can't be fooled by her. Shi Yuan shouted. If she wanted to help, then she would be direct and honorable without any tricks. How would be there this sort of overdone execution? At that time, we will naturally have a word with her. Su Xing coldly said. N. Will we test the 5 dragons colored glass lamp Chao Gai mentioned? Gong Sun Huang asked. It may be assumed that this senior monk affair ought to have been arranged by Chao Gai. Since she said as such, this should not be meant to deceive young lord. Your Honor, we will first go investigate this 5 dragons colored glass lamp. Wu Xinjie thought then made a decision. Right. Buddha Kingdom Central Celestial, one enormous mountain was very odd. The entire mountain was shaped like a pagoda, and the center of the mountain did not grow tall trees. The entire thing was a brush of red foliage, with many hares, deer, milu, foxes, lynxes, tigers, and other animals amid the trees. This mountain was named Stupa Mountain. It was reasonable to say that because of the Buddha Kingdom's teaching, this mountain's range of 100 li had countless monasteries, but as it happened, it was the opposite. The range of 100 li did not have one temple. A single statue of Buddha could not be seen, and the reason for this was that the center of Stupa Mountain had a golden pagoda that pierced the sky. That pagoda was no more than 7 floors, but each floor had 100 meters. This was Buddha Kingdom's famous 7-floor Stupa Pagoda. The rumors surrounding the 7-floor Stupa Pagoda were many. Some said that was a sky-piercing spirit treasure refined in immemorial times by the founder of Buddha Kingdom. It guarded Buddha Kingdom's chi and fortune, and the other temples of Buddhism naturally did not dare show themselves before the 7-floor Stupa Pagoda. Others said this 7-floor Stupa Pagoda was an immemorial spirit treasure that sealed an immemorial heavenly demon creature. Due to its terrible chi soaking into the region over eons, Buddhism was incapable of purifying it once more and could only withdraw a distance away. Of course, to the residents dwelling in the surroundings of the 7-floor Stupa Pagoda, this was just nonsense. But regardless of what was said, as the center of Buddha Kingdom Central Celestial, the 7-floor Stupa Pagoda's significance was comparable to the forbidden area of the Great Liang Dynasty's Bian City. It was also the lifetime pursuit of Buddhist cultivators, and Buddha Kingdom's one and only Buddha West approaches had cultivated inside the 7-floor stupa pagoda. On the day of Buddha West approaches was to select a disciple to inherit his robe and bowl. The surroundings of the 7-floor stupa pagoda was very lively. 3,000 Buddhist schools and countless cultivators all bubbled forth. They were attracted to this location not just for that already immeasurable and limitless magic energy of Liangshan continent's #1 divine monk, but also to have the chance to personally see the 7-floor stupa pagoda. This is Buddha Kingdom's renowned 7-floor stupa pagoda, huh? It sure is spectacular. On Stupa Mountain, a scholarly and handsome youth gazed at the faraway pagoda and could not help praise it. A beautiful woman and a simply dressed monk walked over to his left and right. This intimidating air is much more imposing than the Cold Tang Kingdom's imperial palace. From this palace's view, the Cold Tang Kingdom ought to be given to Buddha Kingdom. It was unclear if the youth's words were sincere or resentful. That monk to the side said faintly, "Your Highness, Buddha says, all things contrived are like dreams, illusions, bubbles, shadows, like dewdrops, like lightning, and they should be regarded as such, which is the perspective of the monks. This is no more than an idea. Your Highness's bickering is unbecoming." Ha, ha, since this is an idea, yet such an imposing sight, this palace feels that the Great Liang Imperial Palace is merely so. It seems very unpersuasive. The youth laughed aloud. However, Great Master Shen Hui, 6, need not explain anything about this idea. This palace is merely making a joke. This palace is very clear that if it was not for Buddha Kingdom's 3,000 Buddhist sects, the Cold Tang Kingdom would long have been annexed by the Great Liang. The youth that so succinctly made this Great Master Shen Hui somewhat embarrassed was just anyone. He was the prince of the Cold Tang Kingdom, His Highness Xie Chang'an. The beautiful girl beside him curled her lips in a smile. She nevertheless did not like this 7-floor stupa pagoda at all. Never expected for Buddha West approaches to actually prepare to pass on his robe and alms bowl, to accept a disciple for seclusion. No wonder teachers of the state would all come. Xie Chang'an exclaimed. Your Highness has the mind to turn to Buddhism for Buddha West approaches? This, huh? Currently, the star duels already are at the 4th phase. This palace does not have any time, however, previous tests were not bad. This palace is very expectant to what degree he can reach in amid so many people. Schwanger, what do you say? Xie Chang'an said. As you wish. Prestige Star Double Club's Huyen Shuang not long ago had captured the star beast, snow-kicking Ebony Piebald, from Evil Smiting Hall, and her mood was perfect. Leisurely coming to this Buddha Kingdom's myriad sects was not something that was unallowed. She treated it as an amusement outside of the star duels. Right, this palace hears that Buddha West approaches has a 5 dragons colored glass lamp. This palace hears that all Buddhist cultivators would rush like ducks for this priceless treasure. Is this true? Xie Chang'an said. Precisely. Great Master Shen Hui nodded. The 5 dragons colored glass lamp is one of Buddhism's secret treasures. Poor monk hears that Buddha West approaches refined it when he saw at a bottleneck entering supervoid late stage, the convergence of myriad dharma and meditative methods. By obtaining this treasure, reportedly, it can allow any Buddhist cultivator to achieve instant success. It is that good? Xie Chang'an said in shock. Is your Highness not currently complaining about slow progress cultivating that 8 divisions Heavenly Dragon Ghosts and God Sutra? If the 5 dragons colored glass lamp truly is so miraculous, it actually can give your Highness leaps and bounds. Hu Yanzhua seemingly smiled as she looked at Great Master Shen Hui. Great Master Shen Hui, poor monk has come to Buddha Kingdom this time on one hand to obtain the holy monk's dharma, and secondly, out of consideration for your Highness. Poor monk actually does not require something like the 5 dragons colored glass lamp. If your Highness uses it, you inevitably can seize a role in the star duels. With Great Master Shen Hui's cultivation, he naturally felt something like the 5 dragons colored glass lamp was beneath him. Xie Chang'an showed a moved expression. Changing his prior frivolity, he cupped his fist. Then Chang'an shall first thank Great Master. Ha, ha, your highness need not be so proprietous. Against these myriad Buddhist sects, your highness must be worried. Great Master Shenhui laughed. N. With your servant double clubs present, there is no need to inconvenience Great Master with this distraction. Hu Yanzhuo firmly said. N. Let us go take a look. Magnificent. It truly was too magnificent. Su Xing gazed up at that pagoda too high to reach, with a sort of feeling of insignificance. That solemn and stately feeling had a formless dignity carved into people's hearts, making them not dare to give rise to profane thoughts. This 7-floor stupa pagoda is this spectacular. And how does that Maiden Mountain compare? I actually very much look forward to it. Su Xing chuckled. Maiden Mountain was the heaven-raising pillar. Reportedly, wherever you were in Liangshan continent, you could see Maiden Mountain just by raising your head. Now, this 7-floor stupa pagoda would not usurp Maiden Mountain in the slightest, yet was such a spectacular sight. Truly, it was unknown just what was inside that Maiden Mountain. Buddhism said something about saving a life is more meritorious than building a 7-floor pagoda. Seems this is not just in name, but also in reality. And Suan said. Su Xing and the others were very much in agreement. Hesitating a moment around the 7-floor stupa pagoda, Su Xing's Taoist practice would probably be somewhat of an eyesore. When he approached those Buddhists, the monks were not very vigilant of his presence. They were somewhat displeased, or lukewarmly wanting to pass on their teachings, which made Su Xing not know whether to laugh or cry. Seeing as they could not gather any useful information, Su Xing sought out a place that did not attract people's attention. Up next was the knowledge star's turn to shine. Wu Xinjie took out the heaven-concealing star feather fan. The feathers moved, activating wind from empty cave, bringing everything in the surrounding environment into her ears. The conversations of millions of people entered her ear, however, under Wu Xinjie's thoughts, only a few useful pieces of information was left in her mind. On the hill to the south, there were monks quarreling. At the north, there were a Buddhist monk and a Buddhist nun meditating and chanting. To the east, countless azure dragon cultivators that had come to see the spectacle whispered and joked about something. In the west, the Buddha kingdom's 6 ancestors were there. Wu Xinjie shut her eyes, her brows wrinkling tightly. Suddenly, she opened her eyes. The feather fan shook, interrupting wind from empty cave. Xinjie, what's the matter? Su Xing helped Wu Xinjie wipe her forehead of cold sweat, surprised. So powerful. Wu Xinjie gasped for breath. Elder sister, what did you hear? Lin Yingmei was taken aback. Xinjie's wind from empty cave, which is incorporeal and natureless, was unexpectedly detected by those old monks. Wu Xinjie squeezed out a smile. Worthy of being called characters the level of Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors. They are supercluster stage after all, Liangshan continent's most supreme cultivation. Don't be careless. Su Xing said in concern. And, Xinjie understands. Not long after, Shi Yuan returned and exchanged information with Wu Xinjie. As expected, what Chao Gai said was true. The millions of Buddhists had come to 7-floor stupa pagoda for the Chan technique. Besides them, even Buddha Kingdom's 6 ancestors and others had appeared. Other than for the Buddha's Dharma and the successorship, apparently that 5 dragons colored glass lamp was the object these ancestral masters would definitely strive for. Reportedly, this 5 dragons colored glass lamp indeed was of great benefit for cultivators of Buddhist cultivation methods. Among the immemorial spirit treasures was a purple smoke confusing sky lantern that could also advance cultivation. Furthermore, the 5 dragons colored glass lamp also was the same. However, what was different from what Chao Gai said was that this 5 dragons colored glass lamp was not something the Buddha personally refined. Originally, this 5 dragons colored glass lamp was a ruined item, but because of Holy Monk Four Noble Truths' magic energy that created measureless achievements, it transformed into a secret treasure. It was even rumored this 5 dragons colored glass lamp even concealed a sort of Buddhist immemorial cultivation method and such. In brief, it was purported to be very divine. Originally, this 5 dragons colored glass lamp always was the pagoda guarding lamp of the 7 floors stupa pagoda. No matter how magical it was, not a single one of the Buddhists dared to protest. It was just that hearing about the holy monk's selection for a disciple to inherit his robe and alms bowl, that he would bring out the 5 dragons colored glass lamp was what actually startled the Buddha kingdom's 6 ancestors. Hearing this information, everyone was somewhat excited. If this is the case, Suan recalls Jiang Shueishue's original verse is related to this. And Suan suddenly said, "Pluck out Bodhi to suppress far west, 9-tiered lotus leaf platform calls for shacking, the 5 dragons colored glass releases light, the mundane immeasurably comprehends Buddha's mind." 2. This 5 dragons colored glass released light perhaps referred to the 5 dragons colored glass lamp. Everyone thought, nodding in agreement. Su Xing's meditative mind lotus flower having the general appearance of blooming generally made Su Xing's beauties greatly eased. However, Shi Yuan's next information made their hearts tighten. Buddha's selection of a disciple seems to be very troublesome. Shi Yuan looked miserable. Meaning? It seems you have to enter the 7th-floor stupa pagoda. Shi Yuan explained, because so many people came, this young lady heard the first choice must have Buddhism's growth capacity. Probably, if you aren't a Buddhist disciple, you cannot go. Many of the Azure Dragon territory cultivators are very dissatisfied. Shi Yuan said. Su Xing was speechless. Although this could be said to be reasonable, he could not actually go be some monk just for the meditative mind lotus flower, right? I'm going to beat Chao Gai to death. Su Xing could not do this. There is no need to worry. Since Chao Gai has dared to leak this information, she proves there will be no restrictions. Wu Xinjie surmised. But with so many people, how will he choose? Shi Yuan could not guess. Buddhism's capacity for growth refers to wisdom. Lord Husband has been planted with the meditative mind lotus seed with Chao Gai. He should count as having wisdom, so there ought not to be a problem. Wu Xiao slowly said. The Harm Star's words made everyone suddenly understand. Then we cannot go together with His Highness? Gongsun Huang shook her tiny head. Among the people present, only Wu Xiao counted as having final wisdom. The other star maidens were somewhat skeptical of Buddhism, and to think of another way right now was already too late. Could it be they were to let Su Xing and Wu Xiao go together? You all can just enter my star nest. Su Xing smiled. A sudden epiphany. Then what about Sister Xinjie and Sister Yingmei? And Suan quietly asked. Wu Xinjie and Lin Yingmei were stared at by the other sisters. For a time, there was extreme blushing in shame. Because they had lost their primordial yin, their star nests with Su Xing also naturally disappeared. As such, Wu Xinjie and Lin Yingmei had no way to enter Su Xing's star nest anymore. What a lucky break that this young lady didn't take care of Su Xing earlier. Shi Yuan patted her chest in secret joy. We can decide that when the time comes. If we really cannot, then Yingmei and I can only await young lord outside. Wu Xinjie was without a choice. Lin Yingmei was even more silent. Seeing as how more and more people were coming, other than Wu Xinjie and Lin Yingmei, the other beauties immediately entered Su Xing's star nest. Only then did Su Xing and the 3 girls together follow the others towards the 7th-floor stupa pagoda. The deeper they penetrated into the 7th-floor stupa pagoda, the more sparse the Taoist cultivators were, and the more numerous the Buddhist disciples. Seeing every kind of kasaya, chan robe and yellow brows made Su Xing's eyes dazzled. Some of those bald heads honestly were even brighter than light bulbs. These were all Buddha kingdom sets, very disdainful of Azure Dragon territory cultivators, a feeling like that of a lamb entering into a wolf pack. However, with regards to other people, Su Xing and the 3 girls slowly walked in, their airs of dominance reserved yet exposed, ignoring everywhere, as if they were walking an uninhabited area. The Buddha kingdom's majority of monks all cultivated their Chan techniques silently. There was no way they would be as restless as someone like a cultivator from the Azure Dragon territory. But even so, Su Xing's group was particularly eye-catching, which made many monks uncomfortable. Fuck, did this man come to provoke them? He obviously knew that the Buddha kingdom was formless and not empty. Even parading around stunning beauties, honestly, he angered gods and men alike. Su Xing's heart-like mirror had long already reached its realm, and he did not mind their despicable and irate gazes. Su Xing looked around and suddenly noticed a place where a large number of beautiful women were gathered. Staying around beauties was always better than being with this heap of monks, and Su Xing did not hesitate to walk over. Those women wore silk long gowns. Although they had the adornments of Buddhist nuns, in fact, their long hair were like waterfalls. Their physiques were wonderful and beautiful, somewhat incongruous with Buddhists, and it was unknown which temple they were from. These women watched Su Xing, each and every one of them alluring. They cast flirtatious glances at him, activating charm magic. Although these women were pretty, compared to Lin Yingmei and the others, they appeared heavily made up and gaudy, excessively tacky. Su Xing did not have interest in them. He took the initiative to chat with his beauties. When those women saw, they immediately felt inferior and averted their gazes, no longer daring to present themselves. "It is you." Suddenly, a chilly shout interrupted Su Xing's flirtations with Wu Xiao and the others. Lifting their gazes, "Oh, my," it was unexpectedly an acquaintance. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness. Benefactor truly does have a connection with us. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness put on a fake smile. When Su Xing looked, he saw that Senior Monk Extreme Happiness' surroundings had 100 disciples, each handsome enough to make people feel inferior. They wore the Chan clothes of the Happiness Together Courtyard's elite disciples, their gazes giddy yet not losing dignity. Taking another look at those women smile charmingly and flirt with those Happiness Together disciples, how could Su Xing not have understood why that would be? Fuck. No wonder so many beautiful women were here. As it turned out, the Happiness Together Courtyard were all in this place. 3. The Happiness Together Courtyard cultivated Happiness Chan, possessing many dual cultivation cauldrons. Su Xing had heard of them, and seeing them today, they were ill-reputed, as expected. Ever since Great Master hurried away, your servant had thought Great Master said there was no connection. Su Xing mocked. Senior Monk Extreme Happiness were indefinitely gloomy. Suddenly, he noticed that only 3 beauties were at Su Xing's side, with the other 5 not present. Inwardly sparking his curiosity, Senior Monk Extreme Happiness' eyes flashed a sly glint. This monk has designs on us. Shi Yuan said from inside the star nest. Su Xing chuckled. Perhaps this monk would not think those beauties were all star generals, all presently resting in the star nest. However, being locked onto by the Happiness Together Courtyard of Happiness Chan honestly was an annoying thing. It seemed that he perhaps had to root out this disaster first. Being hated by a supervoid cultivator was not that comfortable. Su Xing thought, "You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."